A Year of Springs is a simplistic yet beautiful game about the struggles of identity in a world that's only recently become more accepting of people considered outside the norm. The game primarily focuses on the experience of a pre-surgery trans woman within Japan, but also explores themes of love, both unrequited and complicated, and asexuality through the relationships of three women, Haru, Erika, and Manami. As a trans woman, the game spoke heavily to me, and even if I live in the States, at least for now, and thankfully have fewer restrictions than Haru, I can relate with her in many ways, and I can relate to many of her struggles, as well as several lines she has within the game, which some are even word for word things that I've said myself. Plus, being panromantic and asexual means that Erika and Mommy embody me in a few ways as well. This game quite literally made me cry more than once, so that's why I knew I needed to talk about it and try to give it more attention. The game's simplicity allows you to really focus on the characters and their relationships with one another, leading to a fantastic, adorable, and wholesome story about acceptance, battling anxiety, and moving towards a better future. Plus, the art is rather adorable, which certainly helps. I'd implore you to play the game yourself first, since I'm going to spoil the hell out of it, starting in the next paragraph, and it's a really wonderful story that deserves more attention. If you aren't sure, the first segment, One Night Hot Springs, is completely free to play, so you can play it, then decide if you want to buy the full A Year of Springs game. So please give it a try. The game is split into three parts. The first is One Night Hot Springs, which has Haru as the protagonist, and features her going to a hot springs as a trans woman for the first time to celebrate Monami's birthday. The second is Last Day of Spring, where you play as Erika trying to set up an event for Haru's birthday. And the third is Spring Leaves No Flowers, which lets us play from Monami's perspective as she discovers not only the new relationship between Haru and Erika, but come to grips with her own asexuality. Then finally, we have a short but impactful epilogue. I'm going to be discussing each ending in specific orders that I think is most fitting. I'm very excited to discuss this game with you all, so I hope you enjoy, maybe even enough to become a member, which grants you access to content early as well as bonus videos, and in the future, I'll be setting up exclusive polls to determine what media I cover next. In any case, let's get on to the first part of the game, One Night Hot Springs. Please enjoy. We start with Haru comfortably asleep in bed, awoken by a rather adorable ringtone signaling someone's trying to call her. It's coming from Manami, Haru's childhood friend who we come to learn knew her even before she came out as trans. She asks Haru if she wants to go on a trip with her for her 20th birthday. She suggests the hot springs, mentioning bringing her two best friends, meeting Haru and someone else, saying her parents will pay for everything, giving us the first hint of her family being rather well off. Haru is extremely reluctant to go to the hot springs, but Monami tells her they can go somewhere else instead if it would make her more comfortable, since on the surface, Monami is meant to come across as a really good friend who always puts others' needs before her own. Of course, while this is a pretty open invitation that anyone else might be willing to accept and go along with, given that Haru is a relatable ball of anxiety, saying no isn't exactly easy for her. Monami continues trying to reassure her, but Haru tells her she's more worried about making other people uncomfortable rather than herself, which is a very interesting mentality and shows how selfless Haru is, even to a fault. She simply doesn't want to bother other people, a sort of quietly trans archetype that I can understand very well. Monami still assures her that no one will pay any attention, but Haru is confident otherwise. Here we have our first option, and we can get our first ending by saying no. Monami says they'll find something else to do, coming across as positive despite the rejection, and hangs up. Haru laments that Monami's view of the world is too positive, and she hasn't seen how bad people can be. And although Haru is right in some regards, if you look past the anxiety and negative view, you can say that Haru also doesn't realize how good people can be, though she'll be finding out soon enough. She even points out how Monami's parents were super supportive when she came out. After this, Haru begins to spiral somewhat into feeling bad for saying no, and we get our first ending, the normal ending. Let's try something else. It makes sense this is considered a normal ending, since it's really neither good nor bad. Perhaps it could become either, but we aren't able to see what happens after this, so there's no way to know for sure. After each ending, we get a text. The text we get from this ending is from Monami, saying they can go to a theme park instead, which sounds like a lot of fun. I haven't been to a proper theme park in years. Anyway, we go back and select the correct option, where Haru says she'll go if they have reserved baths. Monami says she'll call back when everything is ready and hangs up. Haru questions what women do when they go to the hot springs and looks it up, but the advice she finds isn't very helpful. She then puts down the phone, saying that's enough internet for today, which is basically the only time I don't relate to Haru. My ADHD makes it so I need constant stimulation, so I basically have YouTube playing in the background 24/7. We cut to Haru at the hot springs, wearing clothes that hide much of her body. Again, part of the quietly trans type of person. She questions herself, of course, and tries to psych herself up before finally Monami appears for the first time. She's rather adorable, and honestly, right off the bat, she gives off very motherly vibes with both the appearance and the outfit. Monami immediately compliments her hair, and Haru blushes, which I only point out because of how adorable Haru is when she does so. Suddenly, someone new shows up, a girl named Erika who Monami became friends with in high school. She introduces the two of them, unaware of how this will be one of the most important moments in both of their lives. Erika points out how stiff Haru seems to be and that a soak in the hot springs will help, and although it doesn't go exactly how either of them expects, she does end up right in the end. Monami checks them in and they have to fill out their info, and since Haru hasn't been able to get her legal gender changed, which she'll explain why later, she has to put her birth name and male as her gender, which, take it from experience, always feels crushing when you have to do so. The woman behind the desk is confused about Haru being male, and we get a choice about how to answer. This time we choose, that would be me, which I almost feel you're supposed to interpret as Haru giving up on something small and going, yeah, I'm unfortunately considered a male. The woman doesn't say anything and instead directs them to their room. Monami asks if Haru is okay, and she assures her it's fine, though Monami can clearly tell something is wrong. Erika talks about how excited she is to get into the hot springs and mentions that they need to change into their yukata. Unsurprisingly, Haru rushes to the bathroom to do so, leaving Erika confused for a moment as to why, seemingly having forgotten that Haru was trans for a moment, which, I mean, that's a pretty good look for Erika if that's the case, that Haru feels so natural like a female to her that she forgot. Haru struggles a bit, but eventually gets the yukata on, saying to herself in the mirror that she's fine with the bow, but I like to think it's also an attempt at self-affirmation, saying she's fine with the outfit and the situation. And personally, I think she looks really good in it. I'd love to wear a yukata someday, even if it was just like for a cosplay or something. Erika almost says that if she didn't know any better, she would have thought that Haru was always female. Which, I mean, technically she was, but you know what I mean. Which can come across as rude, as shown when Monami tells her that she told her not to say that stuff, but it's easy to see that it was meant as a compliment, calling Haru feminine, which I bet is why Haru lets it slide. Haru says she's going to check the times for the reserved baths, and Erika questions this before Haru says going into the women's bath with them is something she considers inappropriate. Though we find out later that she specifically doesn't feel comfortable being nude in front of Monami at all, despite their closeness, and knowing Haru, she probably thinks it would be rude seeing her naked considering that she has a crush on her. Erika tries to argue, but Monami once again tries her best to keep her from making a big deal out of it, which seems like a nice gesture on the surface, but we'll come to see that might not be all that beneficial for Haru in the long run. At least not with the way Monami approaches this stuff. Haru heads to the front desks and separates from the others as Erika pulls Monami away. Of course, the moment they're gone, Haru begins to let her anxiety get to her about making Monami worried. She distracts herself by asking the woman at the front desk about the reserved baths and is directed towards the family baths. Even once she's there, she begins to doubt herself, worried that she might be taking time away from another family, proving once again that she's the kind of person who worries about other people and their comfort so much that it gets in the way of her enjoying herself. We get another choice, and for this route, we decide to give up on the family bath and head back to the room, basically rejecting the main reason she had to come here. You can probably already see that this isn't going to end well at all. When wondering how she'll pass the time, we have options, but because of our choices, we really only get one. Side note, but it's kind of funny to see Haru and Erika use each other's last names at this point, considering how comfortable and close they get later. We choose to take a nap, and just after she wakes up, the other two get back. Monami asks how the baths were, and we get another choice. We decide to lie and say it was great, and Haru asks how it was for them. They say it was nice, and Erika says she's never been to such an expensive place before, which is a nice hint to her general lack of money that gets explored in Last Day of Spring. Monami tells Haru she has something in her hair and comes over to take it out, but Haru quickly shouts that she can get it herself while blushing, which is the first hint to both Erika and us that Haru likes Monami. Erika even comments on the entire exchange to herself, but brushes it off when Monami asks. Someone arrives to pick up their order of drinks and deliver their food. Erika tries getting everyone beer before Haru tells her she's underage, since 20 is the drinking age in Japan, meaning Haru is the youngest in this group. Monami says she's never drunk before, so Erika tells her to cut loose and have a little since it's her birthday. We get a cute CG showing some of their food, and it does look pretty decadent, or at least well presented, though I can't tell what all of it is. Here we learn Erika is a vegetarian as well, and she laments how hard it can be to actually be a vegetarian sometimes because meat hides in a lot of stuff. The drinks arrive, so they have a toast, and Monami thanks the two girls for joining her on her birthday. We get some dialogue about the food, and when we cut back, everyone is full. Monami feels so tired that she falls asleep, and Erika and Haru carry her to the futon. We learn Monami does sports. Haru suggesting she has muscles, but it doesn't come up again after this, and honestly feels so against her warm and cuddly persona that it's a little hard to believe. Now that they're alone, Erika says she wants to talk with Haru. She admits she's not great with this sort of thing, but she wants to understand better. She promises to stop if Haru wants, but given our past choices, our only option is to turn her down, showing Haru is still stuck deep within her shell since she hasn't had a chance to express herself in this round. Erika apologizes and leaves to take another dip in the baths. As usual, Haru laments that she left Erika disappointed and talks to herself about how she hasn't discussed being trans with Monami yet, at least not to any deeper level, as Monami simply waves it off saying it doesn't matter. Which, in a sense, is true, but if someone who's been your friend for that long has something going on they want to discuss, it's a little disingenuous to just brush it off like that. It really shows us that Haru doesn't feel like she can be fully open and honest with Monami, despite their history, and Monami's appearance is very understanding and earnest on the surface. As for the most part, she is, but as we see in one of the endings of Spring Leaves No Flowers, she could definitely have thoughts that would come across as insensitive or ignorant. I honestly think that makes Monami a really interesting character after seeing so simple at a first glance, but we'll get to that more later on. Haru talks about how this reminds her of the school trip, how she spent her time simply hiding from everyone else, and how since she was forced to wear the boys' uniform, she had to hang around them, which tells us that she probably finds more comfort around women. I find this relatable too, since before even I realized when I was trans, I was far more comfortable around girls, and out of my friend group of about 6 people, only one person in the group was a guy other than me, and then I eventually realized I wasn't even one. So, yeah. She continues saying she couldn't opt out of the hot springs at the hotel, which would have been the first time she'd done so since she became too old to go with her mom, meaning she's known at least somewhat that she wasn't comfortable being male for a long time. I didn't start having those egg thoughts of, I wish I was born female until around my freshman and sophomore year of high school, and didn't fully realize I was trans until around a year or two after I graduated high school. So this is one of the few times I can't relate to her as much. Though I will say I did like a lot more girly stuff as a kid, like watching Dora or playing with Barbies and stuff. I didn't really look too much into that when I was a kid. Haru says she hid in the changing room the entire time, then laments that she didn't even go in that time either. Or this time. Even though this trip was overall way better since no one is calling her names. Though, by the sounds of it, that isn't very difficult to achieve. Monami calls out to her and asks why she's still up. Haru worries Monami heard her talking to herself, which she did, and says she's about to go to bed. She asks if Monami is going to sleep, but Monami says she's going to stay here a bit, coming up with an excuse that she wants to enjoy the room more. She asks Haru to keep her company, and once again our previous choices leave us with only one possible option, which is great design showing us that's literally impossible for Haru to try and get out of her shell because of her lack of previous action. She says she'll go to bed, and although Monami hesitates, she doesn't say anything and leaves to get something to drink. Haru apologizes when she's gone, and then goes to sleep. Haru is the first to wake up and gets changed back into her previous outfit, which I like to interpret as her going back into that reclusive side of her that covers everything up, even though I'm pretty sure she uses this outfit every time, so that's probably not accurate. She leaves a note telling Monami she left, not wanting to face her after having such a bad time. She says that she just wanted to enjoy her trip, but that for her it simply feels impossible, and that right now she just doesn't want to be here anymore, which is a rather sad thought. This is, as you'd probably expect, the bad ending, titled Hot Springs Are Not Okay. The ending text is, as you'd also expect, from Monami saying she could tell Haru was feeling uncomfortable and telling her to call her back, though I'm sure Haru will be put off doing so as long as she can. From here, we go back and decide to actually go into the family baths like we initially intended. However, all the reservations are booked, making Haru feel rather annoyed that she tried to encourage herself and hype herself up, which believe me, is really hard to do as a trans person, but thankfully one of the workers walks up to her. When she learns they're all booked, she suggests the women's baths, telling her there's vase-shaped bathtubs you can enjoy privately. Haru hesitates and we get another choice. We decide to let her explain that she thinks she'll make others uncomfortable if she does that. The woman tells her that it would be a shame not to enjoy the baths at all, and that she can't allow that. She asks for Haru's name and room, and she uses her full name. When the woman asks if that's Mr., Haru explains that it's Miss, with a beautiful smile. The woman walks off and Haru, say it with me, has anxiety over causing others trouble. The woman comes back and says she'll upgrade them to a room with an open-air bath free of charge, simply because she wants to make sure that every person who comes in gets to enjoy the hot springs to their fullest. After some hesitation and reaffirmation, she says yes to the upgrade. Haru is shown to her new room and speaks about how amazed she is that the woman being so nice and how the others will be told about the change. She says to herself the magic words that maybe the world is kinder than she thought it was. She heads out to the open-air bath, which is the image used for the menu screen. She talks to herself about how gorgeous the view is and has to remind herself not to worry about how much the upgrade would normally cost, which I'd like to see as progress, even if it's something small. She washes off, as you're supposed to do before getting into a bath like this, and finally gets to enjoy one. The CG we get, like basically all of the others, is super cute. As expected, she highly enjoys it and thinks about how long it's been since she's last been to this kind of thing. I've never really seen the appeal of baths myself, but I also haven't taken one since I was a child. I like showers a lot, but I'm not sure that really translates, and to be honest, our bathroom in this apartment sucks, so I don't feel like I'd be able to probably enjoy one here anyway. After some time, she gets back out, appearing extremely happy and thanking the staff lady. We find ourselves back at the scene from before with the two girls getting back, but this time they discuss getting upgraded. Erica asks if they told Haru to go to the women's baths, and we decide to answer honestly, explaining how Haru said she wasn't able to do that because she thought it wasn't appropriate, and how it led to their upgrade instead. And although Monami seemingly thought it was rude for Erica to ask, Haru blushes once more, showing how happy she was about it all. We have everything the same up to the point where Erica asks if she can talk about stuff with Haru. We still say we're tired this time, but now we actually have the other option open for next time. We continue with Monami and don't talk to her either, instead waking up again in the morning, though this time Haru is actually the last one to wake up. Erica and Monami head to the front desk to check out while Haru changes. She approaches the others just as they finish checking out, even though Erica tries to convince Haru they've been waiting on her forever, which she also actually tried to pull when they woke up, even though she only woke up 5 minutes before Haru. They discuss whether they should eat breakfast in town, and Haru says it's a great idea. Erica goes to check the bus schedule, and Monami points out how Haru is in a good mood, and asks if she enjoyed the trip. We can choose to say it was great for some good positivity, and Erica comes back to say the bus will be there soon. They all leave and we get the good ending. Hot springs are okay, which is definitely a good ending, but still leaves things unresolved with both Monami and Erica. Erica especially feels like she's not really a part of the story much yet, but it makes sense given she and Haru have only just met, and yet soon they'll get to know each other very well. The text is from Monami again saying that she's happy Haru came with them, and that they should meet up again soon. So that's all of the basic endings finished, leaving us with the character endings left to get, starting with Monami's endings. From here, we go back to stay with Monami, and they head over to the window, admiring the beauty and the quiet of the night. From here, we get a choice, and although we can say we're happy to be here for her birthday, for now we chicken out and instead say how nice it is to stay in this ryokan. I think that's how you pronounce it? Which is a traditional Japanese inn, in case you didn't know, like I didn't. Haru thanks Monami for inviting her and reassures her that it's been a fun trip. Monami talks about how weird it is to officially be an adult. I'm only 24, and even then I still can't get over the fact I've been an adult for 6 years. Probably because I don't really do some normally adult things, like I don't drink alcohol at all because that shit's gross, I don't drink coffee, I don't smoke, and I still work a part-time job. I mean, I pay rent, and I live 2 states away from my parents and do my own taxes, but like, even so, I still don't feel like an adult. I don't really think I will until I get married, to be honest. I know that's just a mentality, but I'm not sure if I'll ever really break it. We'll have to just see. Haru thinks over how she got Monami a present, but isn't sure if she should give it. For this route, we decide not to, as this is the route where Haru doesn't quite take any sort of leaps with Monami yet. Monami ruminates over how they're becoming adults together after knowing each other for so long, but that she's happy nothing has changed. Though for Haru, that isn't exactly a happy thing. Not only because of her having a crush on Monami, yet nothing changing means it's gone nowhere, but also the fact of her being unable to really discuss her being trans in any meaningful way. Monami accidentally drives this in further by saying Haru will always be her friend, even if she means it in a good way. Then Monami brings up her boyfriend for the first time, saying she'd like Haru to meet him. Haru says she'd have to check her schedule, though it's probably obvious that she's really hesitant to meet him at all, for obvious reasons. Monami starts to feel sleepy again and heads back to bed, leaving Haru with the view, where she thinks about Monami's boyfriend and how he probably got her a good present, putting herself down and saying that her present probably wouldn't be very good, which, even before we find out what it is, we know that's probably a lie. After a bit, she decides to go to bed too. We get a similar scene where Erika is still asleep, seeming to be someone who likes sleeping in, which is also very relatable. Monami tells Haru how they need to go shopping for souvenirs, and Haru laments that she never knows what to buy, which, again, same. I haven't visited a lot of places I'd like to take souvenirs from, but whenever I do, I'm never sure what to actually get. Monami laughs because she apparently said the same thing on their school trip on the last day when they were picking out souvenirs. Man, I miss field trips. The bus rides were always chaotic, but the good old days where you could just mess around with other people on the DS PictoChat was so fun. I remember that trip we did very well when my class went to Jefferson City. Monami says that Haru hasn't really changed despite them being friends for so long, and Haru lets out what seems to be a sort of dry laugh. Monami goes to check them out while Haru changes. Once she's done, Haru wonders if she hasn't really changed at all since then, which is another thought I've had so much. I do think moving out and away from my parents has been very good for me. My parents are not, terrible or anything. They love me, and I love them, but now that I've been out of their house for 2.5 years, I've definitely come to see their faults way more than before. They head out, and Monami says she'll help Haru pick out her souvenir this time, which Erika questions before talking about red bean pancakes, which gets Haru interested. With this, we get Monami's first ending, Friends Forever. The text is once more from Monami, saying she wants to talk to Haru and that her mom misses her, before inviting her over for her boyfriend's baking. To me, this just helps to reinforce the prevalence of Monami's boyfriend, even if the player might not realize Haru has a crush yet. Now, onto the second Monami ending. Here we go back and say we're happy to be here for Monami's birthday, which is enough for her, and we eventually decide to hand over the present this time, though she asks to wait until the morning. Haru says she's gonna go to bed, and Monami stops her to say that she can tell her anything, since, as we'll come to see later, Monami has a pretty good sense for when Haru isn't telling her stuff, but can rarely actually get anything out of her. I'm pretty sure even if Haru came clean about her crush, they'd probably still be able to talk it out and remain friends. Haru tells her not to worry and says goodnight, this time leaving Monami alone, where she talks to herself about how she wishes Haru was more honest. When they get up, Haru asks her to close her eyes, hands her the present, puts it in her bag, and asks her to open it when she gets home. This made me think the first time, though, that it was something confessing her love in some way, but that's not really it, I think. She asks Haru if there's anything she wants to tell her, saying she can tell her anything once more. And again, I'm sure she means it. If she came clean about the crush, I'm sure it would be fine. Haru asks if she heard her talking yesterday, and Monami admits that she did, and how she's sad that Haru never tells her this stuff, and how Haru just tells her she's fine whenever she asks. I'm sure my boyfriend could find that very relatable about me, too. I used to be very private about my emotions and everything, since I never felt comfortable even talking to my parents about stuff. But as we started dating, I've become much more open about them. I've even come to cry more often, since I think I was always too afraid to before. Monami says she wishes she'd known Haru was having a tough time at school, and Haru apologizes, saying she didn't want to worry her, as she's always afraid to do so, it seems. Even though that's not really the case at all, which Monami tells her directly. She apologizes for being unable to help, but Haru tells her it's okay because she was the one who never said anything. She explains that she didn't want to be treated differently, which is always a major fear for basically any trans person, saying that Monami is the only one who doesn't treat her any differently, and she was scared to jeopardize that. They apologize to each other again, and Monami says that nothing she could say could ever change how she feels, which, once again, I believe wholeheartedly. She asks her to be honest and tell her asking her on this trip made her uncomfortable. We tell her that Haru was happy, she was asked, and even if she felt unsure at first, she was happy all the same. Monami asks her to promise not to keep any more secrets, and she agrees, which we know is a lie. She asks if there's anything else, and our two options are lying outright and saying there's nothing else, or a half-truth by saying not right now. We go with not right now, but says that if Monami has any questions, she'll answer them honestly. They both thank each other for everything, and Erika finally gets up. They all get changed and finally check out, then suggests going to get breakfast in town. Haru says she wants to leave because she's tired, so Erika and Monami go out together, and we end with Erika still calling her by her last name. We get Monami ending too, which is honesty is like a gift, and shows us the gift, which is a bow that seems to match Haru's. Monami's text afterward shows her thanking Haru for the gift and that she has something to ask her, but it's important enough to ask in person. And part of me wants to think she wants to ask if she has a crush on her, because that's the only thing I can really think of that would apply in this situation. Especially given how Haru also treated the gift as though it was a love confession. If that is the case, then Monami seemingly being so calm about this makes me think that she'd be cool with it even if she had to turn it down. But of course, this isn't the canon ending, so we don't get to see that. Hi, this is Editor Red here, and I just wanted to add that on the Steam page, I noticed that there's only 5 achievements for this game. There's 1 achievement for completing each segment and getting the true ending of each segment, as well as completing the epilogue. But then, there's also an achievement for specifically getting this ending, which only further makes me believe that this gift is meant to basically come across as a love confession. So, yeah, I do genuinely think it's a love confession, and that Monami's question for her is asking her about that said confession. We go all the way back to when we were talking with Erika and actually engage her this time, selecting that Haru will talk with her. Erika tells her she's the first transgender person she's met, but Haru tells her that might not be true since some people pass extremely well, and we're all jealous of them. Erika then says that if Monami hadn't mentioned it, Erika wouldn't have known she was trans, which is an amazing compliment every trans person wishes to get. Here, Erika also asks if they can use first names, and Haru says that that's fine. She asks if Haru is her trans name, which is kind of a funny way to say it, but Haru says it's a nickname from when she was a kid. Erika says so that's from when she was a guy, and we get an option. From here we choose what I consider to be the actual answer, which is to say that Haru was never a guy. Even outside of the fact that Haru seems to have realized she was trans when she was young, trans people never really had a time where they were their wrong gender. That's not the way to phrase it. I, for example, was never once actually a guy. Me and everyone else around me just mistakenly thought I was one, and I came to realize that I was not one later. Erika apologizes for phrasing it that way, which is really nice, and asks about her legal name, Haruto, which Haru tells her can come across as rude because dead naming someone in any way can be seen as denying who they are now. And Erika apologizes once again. I love this scene for showing how Erika is genuinely just uninformed, but once she learns she's being rude, she apologizes and corrects her behavior. If only everyone in the world could be that fucking rational, but nope. Haru says she likes the name Haru since it's unisex, which is also really relatable! I actually decided not to change my name since my name is gender neutral, and I actually really like it. It's uncommon, and I just like the way it sounds. And no, it's not red. Haru says she wants to use it as her legal name, and Erika realizes she hasn't been able to change it, then realizes her legal gender is also still male. She asks if she can change it, and Haru explains she'd need surgery and to be sterilized, which, while that's true in a lot of places in the US, while this country does kinda suck, or sucks a lot, at the very least, some places here don't require that. Haru says there are even some requirements, such as being over 20, not married, and no kids who are minors. When Erika questions why, Haru says it's because same-sex marriage isn't legal in most places, and that if you have kids, it might make things confusing for them. Which is really bullshit if you ask me. Erika rightfully gets mad about it, says she didn't realize it was this bad, and apologizes for asking so many questions. We get a dialogue option and choose to tell her that she's actually really happy that Erika listened to her, which sadly is a courtesy not a lot of trans people get, and Erika enthusiastically thanks her for sharing. Erika says she definitely owes her one now and tells Haru she talked to one of the attendants and mentions how, although technically you're only supposed to go in the bath of your legal gender, as long as you don't bother guests, you can go into the incorrect bath. Today there aren't many guests and the bath is mostly empty around midnight, so Haru could go to the women's baths. Haru is, of course, against this, worrying about someone potentially being there, and Erika tells her that the baths are big enough that they'll just stay away from others. Haru asks what if they look, and Erika promises to beat them up if anyone says anything, which is kinda cute. Erika pleads with her to get in, even as Haru keeps trying to find excuses, validating that she's a woman too and has the right. From here, we get the obvious choice about whether to go or not, and for this ending, we sadly don't. Erika tries to put up a resistance, but Haru makes it clear she isn't going, so Erika says she won't force it. She leaves and tells her to head back to bed, and she does. Erika and Haru wake up around the same time, both of them having missed breakfast, so it's time to check out. They both joke about how they don't get how Monami is so energetic in the morning. True, relatable. Erika apologizes for being insensitive, but she's happy she's more informed now. Haru says that's fine because Erika actually listened to her, which not everyone does, unfortunately. The two get changed and meet Monami at the front desk. Monami has breakfast for both of them and says they can eat on the return right back. Haru hesitates because she was going to take a different train, which Erika picks up on and asks to head back together, and Monami agrees, saying she has lots to talk about. Haru agrees and says she does too, with a blush, which feels like it's suggesting something, but I'm not sure what. Maybe she has the courage to have a more serious discussion with Monami? Either way, it's decided and they head home. This is the Erika ending one, called New Friend, New Adventures. The text is from Erika and says she'd like to treat Haru to lunch to make up for asking so many questions, but specifies that it can't be anything too expensive. Now, obviously, we go back to that last choice and finally decide to go into the bath. Erika gets very excited and grabs to pull her there. Once they get there, she still hesitates, but Erika walks up to her, tells her not to lose her cool, and says she'll check inside to see if anyone is there. When she gets back, she informs her no one is in there and asks Haru to come with her. But unfortunately, that isn't going to happen until at least after spring leaves no flowers. If you know, you know. Haru finally goes with her. They change in separate areas, and Erika promises not to look and even offers to let Haru go in to wash first. Eventually, we see them both together in the bath, and this is probably the moment that sold me on Erika so hard, and this was the first route I got when I played this the first time. Yes, I managed to get the canon route on the first try. It's because, like, it's one thing to be understanding and respectful and acknowledge a trans person as their gender, but it is a whole other thing to sit next to them completely nude in a bath together like this with someone who still has a male body. It shows a level of true acknowledgement that Erika truly views her as a female and isn't afraid or creeped out or anything to be naked with her. It makes me love Erika so much. Incredible scene. Probably one of my favorites in the game. They talk about how nice the bath is. Haru thanks Erika for bringing her with a smile on her face, and Erika says she doesn't get the big deal. Haru tries to think of a way to explain it, and we get a choice. It doesn't matter either way, but I choose gym class. Haru talks about a scenario where Erika would need to change into a gym uniform before class, and how both genders change where they're supposed to. She asks where Erika would go, and she obviously answers with the girls, and then Haru asks what she would do if one of the boys tried to go with you, and Erika, seeming to understand, pauses before answering they call him a pervert. Erika says that Haru looks like a girl, though, and Haru says she isn't physically, not all the way, referencing her still having her genitals. Haru also says not everyone is as lucky with their appearance as her. For me, I've come to experience that I grow more and more uncomfortable with the men's room every single day since I haven't legally changed my gender yet either. Now, I try to use the family bathroom at my job whenever it's open, simply because it's gender neutral. It sucks feeling like I have eyes on me in the men's room because of how feminine I look now. I mean, I literally have boobs, and some people who walk in and see me think they're in the wrong bathroom. Which is nice and affirming in a way, but at the same time it makes me worried they'll stare at me. After a moment of silence, Erika says that it wasn't pretend, was it? Then Haru doesn't explicitly answer, instead saying that people like Erika know exactly where they belong. But people like Haru don't belong anywhere. That places like this are hard, because if Haru went into the men's room looking the way she does, she would be told she's in the wrong place. But she also can't legally use the other women's room either. She says that she just wants to live like everyone else. Erika points out how hard high school must have been, and Haru confirms it by saying boys had to wear the male uniform, but that she didn't act the way boys were supposed to, and how she got bullied for it. Erika talks about how high schoolers are vicious, and even Erika got some of it, but Monami never mentioned it because nothing bad ever happens around her. Erika brings up how she was a delinquent, which, given her comment about fighting earlier, isn't all that surprising. Though it's funny to me how her sprites usually make her look more like one of those fancy suburban moms, which isn't really accurate at all. I think it's the hairstyle and the earrings. She says she's past that phase now, though, but that kids are definitely evil. Erika relates that she was bullied too, and that even her teachers blamed her for it. She says some people won't ever fit in, so they should just stop caring and enjoy themselves. It's not really the best advice, but I see the intention behind it. Her adding that you should do it with people who don't care that you're different, and how that can help. She apologizes for the depressing speech, but Haru is happy that she shared it, and feels like a weight was lifted off her shoulders. Erika asks if she's ever told Monami any of this, and Haru says no, explaining that she didn't want to bother her with it. After that, Erika says she's sure of it, and asks if she likes Monami. We get a dialogue choice, but of course we're choosing to be honest. Erika tells her she's straight, and Haru says she's aware because she talks about her boyfriend a lot, and that he sounds nice. It's quite an awkward thing, being into someone who probably doesn't share the same orientation as you. I've thankfully never had to experience that, though. Erika clarifies there's no problem with that, and that she dated a girl too, which is nice foreshadowing. Haru asks for details, and Erika says she dated someone during her part-time job, and Haru asks if she's bisexual. Erika says she doesn't really know since she doesn't care about labels that much, and then asks if she wants to check out another bath. Haru agrees, and we cut to black before seeing them back out. Haru thanks Erika for bringing her, but Erika reminds her that it wasn't a big deal. She goes to get them drinks. Haru talks to herself, saying that Erika seems interesting, but nice. Which I bet is how people would describe me. The staff member from before walks up and asks if she had a chance to enjoy the women's baths. We get a choice and we choose yes, though it's clearly hesitant, and she clarifies she only went in because no one was inside. The staff agrees that they're usually empty at this hour and is pleased that she was able to enjoy them. When she leaves, Haru ruminates that she knows but didn't say anything and implicitly said it was okay for her to go. She blushes, very adorably saying that she's very happy. Erika returns with the drinks and they head back to the room. They go to bed and Haru says she's going to have good dreams tonight, once again looking super cute as she blushes. When Haru wakes up, Erika greets her by saying it's time to check out. Haru worries she's caused trouble for Monami, and Erika asks if she has the world's lowest sense of self-worth, saying that she didn't cause any trouble for Monami and how silly she's being about it. She says that to Monami, she's helping out, which isn't any trouble at all. Haru goes silent, blushing again, and Erika says that she's helpless and tells her to get dressed, which is cute. When they meet Monami, she tells them that her boyfriend messaged her and invited them all to lunch, his treat. Haru says that's wonderful, but clearly isn't very happy about it, so Erika rushes to her side and says she was going to take Haru on a tour around the town after this. Both Monami and Haru are surprised, and Erika says since Haru didn't get to go into the baths, she wants to take her out. Monami wants to go too, but Erika tells her to go meet with her boyfriend. Monami asks if Haru will be okay, and of course we choose the option that says yes. Monami says she's happy to see the two of them getting along, which they really will be soon, and heads out. Haru asks about the tour, but Erika says she figured that Haru just didn't want to meet with Monami's boyfriend, and calls Haru hopeless again, since she would have just agreed despite not wanting to. Erika says she does want to just go around town, but isn't sure where to go. The woman from before shows up again, and Haru thanks her for the previous day. She suggests the hot springs on the flyer since it has private baths and says her older sister goes there. Haru asks about her, and the woman says she also finds it difficult to go into the women's baths with so many people. And when Haru is about to ask, the woman confirms it before she can finish. She finishes by wishing them a wonderful time before leaving. Erika says that's pretty cool of her, and they decide to go check it out. This gives us Erika's second ending, The World Can Be Kind Too. The text is from Erika saying that she forgot her souvenir, and if she wants to make it up to her, Haru can treat her to lunch, a reflection of their previous ending text. And that's the end of One Night Hot Springs, the first segment of the game. Obviously, I find it the most relatable of the three because of Haru being trans and everything, but don't think I won't have stuff to say about the other two. Haru is absolutely one of the most relatable protagonists I've ever seen, being a massive ball of constant anxiety, self-doubt, and painful selflessness. Her dynamic with both Erika and Monami is incredibly fascinating, and the way she's able to connect with Erika is so incredible and heartwarming on its own. But then acting as a setup for their later relationship is also really enjoyable and fun. And it's easy to see why they fall in love with how supportive Erika is without sugarcoating things like Monami seems to do. But we'll get more into their relationship later. Her unrequited crush on Monami adds a lot of depth to her interaction with the woman, and opens an interesting avenue we'll explore more in the second segment of the game. Monami is definitely an interesting character, but I do think she might have fallen a bit flat if she didn't get her own segment as well. Maybe because of how some of her traits feel off, like the idea of her wanting to simply brush everything off instead of address it. She's not a bad person, but it is definitely the worst part of her. But to me, seeing her side and the thoughts and things in the third segment bring her back for me a bit. Overall, the story is simple but very powerful. Even if one scene from the second section still makes it pale in comparison, it's fantastic, and it sucked me in so hard that while I got the first one on its own, I bought the whole thing immediately after the fact because I wanted more. The art style and backgrounds are simple but effective, and since that means it makes the game cheaper, I'm all for it if more people get to see the story. It's definitely got nice themes of letting yourself open up to people, and to the idea that the world can be kind if you meet the right people. And while that is somewhat hopeful and idealistic, we all kind of need that right now, I think. Especially the trans community. But this is only the first section, and the other two I do find interesting as well, even if nowhere near as relatable as the first one. So let's go on to the next section, Last Day of Spring, which is from Erika's perspective. As I mentioned, this segment takes place from Erika's perspective, so we start in Erika's apartment on April 1st. She's watching TV, which has news about the name of the new era being revealed. For an explanation, Japan views their history as different eras, which is defined by the reign of various emperors. The current one, as shown in the game, is the Reiwa era, which began in 2019. She flips through different channels, but they're all covering the new name. Erika doesn't really care and turns off the TV, saying how it doesn't matter because nothing's really going to change. She then wonders what Haru is up to, which is a small detail, but I find it cute that she thinks about Haru first. She tries texting, and we get to see their actual phone conversation, getting to see their adorable use of stickers. She asks if Haru saw the news, but doesn't immediately respond. Erika tries the TV again, but it's still the new era. She responds with an adorable wave, befitting her, and asks what news. Erika tells her about the new era name and says it's very stupid, but Haru says she thinks it sounds pretty, with Erika saying to herself that's a very Haru thing to say. She asks if Haru has met up with Monami lately, but says she hasn't seen her since they had a picnic together. Feeling bored with the news, she asks Haru if she can hang out later, but Haru sends an apology sticker saying she's having dinner with her new coworkers today, since it's her first day at an actual job. Erika ruminates on how it's weird they're the same age, but Erika is in college, and Haru is now a functioning member of society. Erika says she wants to know about her job, even though Haru says it isn't interesting, and Haru tells her she will later. Erika wonders what to do and initially debates calling Monami, then decides not to bother her since she probably is talking to her boyfriend. However, having nothing else to do, she calls her anyway. Monami ends up picking up and Erika asks if she's free. Monami says that she was about to call to ask the same, and asks if she wants to go to Alouette, which seems to be a go-to meetup place, and Erika agrees. She heads out and Monami is already there, calling over to meet her. Monami's dress is super freaking cute, by the way, and says she's already ordered them some tea, saying her boyfriend paid for it and left a bit earlier, saying he didn't want to get in between their girl talk, meaning we still don't get to see him until the third segment. Erika asks why Monami wanted to hang out, and Monami asks if she's free this weekend, and Erika says yes. Monami explains she wants to get something for Haru's birthday, and Erika asks when it is, to which Monami replies that it's today. Erika freaks out, and Monami is surprised Haru didn't tell her since she says the two of them seem to talk so often lately. I wonder why. Erika says she didn't, clearly upset about it, before saying that maybe Haru didn't think to tell her, and Monami reinforces saying she probably just forgot, but you can probably already tell that's absolutely not true, knowing how she is already. Monami says she wanted to go out with her for dinner, but can't because of her being out with coworkers. Erika asks about that dinner, which I can't help but take as her being a little bit jealous, and Monami asks she was going to hand over her present, but now she'll just take it and drop it off at her house later. Erika gets upset saying she should have been invited, and Monami quickly apologizes, explaining she figured Haru would be tired after work and would only want the two of them. She adds that she does think Haru would like it if she was there for the weekend, asking if that's okay. Erika pauses before saying yes, clearly still a bit upset. When Monami tries to apologize again, Erika tells her to please drop it, and Monami can tell she's still upset, but Erika says that she's fine. Monami then says she isn't sure what to do for Haru's birthday, and tells Erika to call her if she has any ideas, which seems to perk her up again. They start a conversation about classes, but it cuts to black. When we cut back, we're at Erika's apartment talking about how Monami can go on for hours, which she definitely seems like the kind of ditzy girl who would. She decides to message Haru since she's probably done with work, and she can't help but bring up the fact that she wasn't told about her birthday, and wishes her a happy one before realizing that might come across a bit too salty. And she tries to correct it, only to make it worse. She asks why she even cares, which I think was my first hint when I was playing that she liked Haru, but it's subtle. She wonders what's on TV, but they're still discussing the new era name. After saying that it's ridiculous, Erika decides to take a nap. When she wakes up, we get to see her apartment proper, and it's a complete mess, making her a stereotypical college student in that regard, along with the whole thing about not having enough money to buy anything. She checks her phone and sees her message to Haru is on read, because of course the first thing she does when waking up is seeing if Haru messaged her back. She reasons Haru might not be able to respond because of the dinner, and she wonders why she's being so needy, another hint towards her crush. She then gets a notification, checking it to find that Haru unsent a message, which I've never heard of before, but apparently it's something you can do. Erika asks if she's at dinner and says she doesn't have to reply, only for Haru to unsend a message again, which if I had to guess means she's letting her anxiety simply get the better of her again and finding it hard to explain what's wrong. She finally sends a sorry sticker, and Erika asks if anything is wrong, to which Haru denies it, of course. Erika asks if she wants to talk, but Haru doesn't answer. She decides to call anyway, and although she doesn't pick up at first, she eventually does. Erika asks how work was, and Haru gives it a week. It was okay. She asks about the dinner, but Haru says she didn't go. When Erika asks why, Haru apologizes and hangs up. She questions what's happening when she gets a text from Haru saying she doesn't want to talk about it over the phone. Erika wonders if her coworkers said something bad, but Haru says everyone was really nice and the work is fine, so Erika pushes her to tell her what's wrong, despite Haru saying it's stupid. Haru says that since it's her first day, she had to sign a bunch of forms using her legal name and gender. She goes on to say she wanted to do her first job as an adult with her actual name and gender, but she wasn't able to. She brings up how it's supposed to be the start of a new era, but she feels she can't have a new start because of the way she is. And she then apologizes for sending so many messages, which I also find relatable, because when I send messages, I tend to send something, then the moment I hit send, I remember something else I wanted to add, so I'll send another one, and then repeat one or two more times. Comes with having ADHD, I suppose. Erika calls her again and asks if Haru is free this weekend. Haru says yes, but before she can fully finish, Erika tells her to keep the day open, because they're going out. Haru says okay, and Erika tells her that she doesn't care what it says on her family register. She is Haru, and is an amazing woman, then hangs up before Haru can respond. Those are always wonderful words to hear as a trans woman. My boyfriend tells me that stuff all the time, and it always makes me feel nice. Erika, meanwhile, has a small panic about saying something like that. Definitely one of those moments where you freak out about saying something romantic to your crush when you haven't even confessed yet. Erika tells herself to calm down and realizes she needs to call Monami to tell her not to visit. Monami picks up quickly, and Erika tells her they should give her presents together on the weekend, and Monami agrees before asking what they should do. Erika says she wants to do the planning this time since Monami planned her own birthday. Monami loves the idea, and Erika hangs up. She wonders aloud what she'll actually end up doing, but reassures herself she'll figure it out, deciding to start working on that tomorrow. With that, it becomes April 2nd. Erika starts the morning, or knowing her, it might already be the afternoon before she got up, by asking Haru if there's anything she wants to do. Haru says she's fine with anywhere, but obviously that isn't very helpful. Erika asks if there's a place she's always wanted to go but never could, but Haru still doesn't have any ideas, or at least any that she wants to share. Erika wonders what people do on the weekends on a uni student's budget, and tells Haru not to worry, that she'll figure something out. Haru says she'll think on it, and Erika decides to try looking it up online. Unfortunately, many of the results mention a boyfriend or husband being involved, but she does find a site that gives her 3 options to work with: a day spa, a theme park, or a hotel buffet. She ruminates that it shouldn't be too expensive, and that she and Monami can split the cost. She brings up the options with Haru, and she shows interest in the spa, but then says she probably couldn't go, like how she had trouble with the hot springs. Erika feels hopeful that since the hot springs worked out, that this could too. She tells Haru this, and that she'll take care of it, asking again if Haru wants to go. Haru sends a very cute peeking sticker. This girl is so adorable, and says she does. Erika then slips up and calls it a date, and then quickly tries to cover it up by saying the date is the day they go to the spa. I love that Erika falls into the cliches pretty easily. It's adorable, given her usual nature. Haru, seemingly not picking up on anything, says thanks, and Erika tells herself to stop being weird. She starts looking for spas and sees that they're sorted by price range. We'll look at all three, starting with the cheapest one, Hanai no Yu, which has baths inside and outside with a lie-down bath and sauna. 700 yen per person, plus 500 for the sauna, with 500 yen an hour to reserve a room to themselves. So let's say they want to rent the room for about 3 hours and use the sauna. That's about 4,100 yen, which, as of writing the script, is $26.34. Yeah, the dollar amounts are back. We're doing it again. But also, wow, that's insanely cheap. So much so that they probably wouldn't even need to split it. Plus, there's a free hand treatment for women on the weekends, too. Next, we check the mid-range one, Spa Souffle, which has baths sourced from natural hot springs and jet baths, as well as an area inside for mud masks. Their stone sauna also uses aroma oils, and all this kinda just goes over my head since I've never done any of this stuff, but it sounds nice. They even have hammocks and beanbags, which sounds fun. Plus, separate prices for massages. 1,400 yen per person, then 2,000 per person to book a room, but it seems to be a flat fee. Then the cheapest massage is 3,000 yen, and I'm assuming that's per person. Erika says she could sit out and let Monami and Haru get massages, so in total that's 16,200 yen, which is about $104.08. Much more expensive, but to be honest, for all it offers, that feels pretty good, especially splitting it with Monami. Lastly, we check the expansion off in La Chateau, I think. The base price is 18,000 yen per person, and that's with it being half off. It contains a 90-minute oil and aroma treatment with a massage for basically the entire body, and the tea afterward with a view from their 12th floor. So that's 54,000 yen, which is $346.98. Definitely way pricier, and honestly, to me, the second option sounds way better balancing the relaxation with the price. Well, this just feels a bit overblown, especially as someone who doesn't like tea. Now we have to decide which one to go with. We decide to choose the expensive one, just to see what happens, and she calls Monami to confirm. I also want to choose this one just to show you the scene, because it's you'll see. Erika tells her about the place and the price, and Monami tells her it's reasonable for a hotel spa. Erika says it's expensive for her, and Monami offers to pay for her half, but Erika adamantly refuses. Monami agrees and then asks what the spa's name is. Erika tells her, and Monami says she might have a discount because her parents are likely members of the hotel. After double-checking, she confirms that she does, and asks to meet up tomorrow to make a reservation together. Decide to meet up at Alouette. Erika hangs up and gets a message from Haru saying sorry. When Erika asks why, she unsends the message again before saying they don't need to do anything for her birthday, even calling it nothing special. Erika wonders if she should call it off, but we pick no, at least at first, and Erika tells her that it is special. Haru keeps pushing that they don't need to do it because she doesn't usually do much anyway, and Erika reasons she doesn't want to make a big event out of it because she's used to small stuff with just Monami, and wonders if maybe she should call it off. And this time we choose to ask Haru if she wants to cancel. This will essentially become the theme of each day. We'll have a dialogue choice, one that leads to the event not happening, and one that continues down the true path. Haru says she does want to cancel, and that they can do something some other time, not even for her birthday. Erika ruminates that Haru would probably feel more comfortable with just Monami, and I can almost imagine how sad she probably sounds saying that to herself, knowing she has a crush. She even says she doesn't know why she feels so sad about it. She decides to call Monami about the change of plans as we roll into the ending. April 2nd, a lot of hassle, with a waving squid sticker. This is also a running thing, each ending having a sticker. The final text shows Haru asking Erika if she's mad, and after Erika says no, Haru says they can do something another time. Erika says sure, maybe some other time. But the texts really give off the impression to me that she's really sad about the whole thing, which makes sense. It's also kind of sad to consider all these other alternate timelines where Haru might never have fallen for Erika back and didn't have that pure spark of happiness in her life. But let's not think about that as we go back and pick the actual choice, which is to tell her it isn't a hassle, which helps her not anxiety so much about it, and that Erica is really looking forward to it. With that done, Erica decides to catch up on some shows. It is now Wednesday, April 3rd. We start at Alouette with Erica and Monami, Monami giving Erica a number to use to get the discount from La Chateau. Erica thanks her and asks if she's ever been there. Monami says no, but that her father stays there for his business trips. Which I don't know if we ever actually learn what they do? I guess it's not important. Erica says the discount makes the price almost affordable, which sounds like a pretty big discount, and Monami says she's excited. Her phone goes off and she leaves to take it, with Erica guessing that's her boyfriend, saying that he calls her all the time, seemingly in an annoyed tone. Monami comes back saying she forgot they were supposed to meet up today and asks if Erica can handle it herself. She offers to cancel, but Erica says she can handle it, and Monami heads off. Erica proceeds to call the place. The person on the other end comes off as professional. Meanwhile, Erica fumbles her words as she asks for the specific treatment. When asked how many people, she clarifies 3, then says one of them is transgender. They tell her to wait a moment, and when they get back, they have the fucking gall to say this is a women's only spa, and that in order to ensure relaxation for other guests, it must stay only women. Erica argues Haru is a woman, and the other person simply says that they have another separate spa for men. Yeah, Erica says to forget it and hangs up, I hope very angrily. She then tries calling other places, but every single one turns her down for having a transgender person. I find this is a nice reversal of One Night Hot Springs. There, Haru discovered that there's more niceness in the world than she initially thought, whereas here, Erica is unfortunately finding out that there's more injustice than she thought. Erica gets angry about it once she's done, wondering what she should do, feeling like she'll let Haru down before she gets a message from the woman in question. She asks how the planning is going, and for this bad ending, we decide to be honest. Though it gives us a chance to back out of it with a second choice, as though it's warning us this is a really bad idea. Erica says she's having trouble, and Haru is immediately able to figure out why. She says they should just cancel everything, which throws Erica off guard, as she was just wanting to change plans for the weekend. Erica says she still wants to celebrate, but Haru doesn't respond. She tries calling, but there's no answer. Complete radio silence. Erica resolves to call her again later. We get the ending on April 3rd, no answer, with a bye sticker. The ending text is one-sided from Erica, apologizing for not listening, even though she didn't really need to, and says she still wants to do something else for her birthday, asking her to call when she has the time. I doubt Haru ended up contacting her again until after the weekend, though. We go back and decide not to tell Haru, instead telling her everything is going great, and she gives a thumbs up. Erica wonders what to do, then says she simply can't give up and decides to check other places on the site. However, she's going to do that tomorrow, pushing until Thursday, April 4th. We start with Erica saying she's called so many places, but all of them gave her the same answer, leaving her clearly at the end of her nerves. She thinks about how she told Haru she'd handle it, like she'd be her hero, once again, probably stemming from her crush, and how she doesn't want to disappoint her. She gets a call from Monami, but she doesn't really want to tell her how things are going. She picks up the phone anyway, and when Monami asks about the reservation, Erica says it didn't work out. Monami asks what didn't work out, as though that wasn't explicitly clear from the conversation. She does this in the third segment too, and it almost feels at times like she's trying to be purposefully ignorant of things, which, while that makes more sense when it happens in the third segment, as it happens when she discovers Haru and Erica are dating, here it just feels like she's being a bit dumb. Erica explains that they had issues because of Haru being trans. Monami, always wanting to see the good in people, says she can try talking to them to make them understand, but Erica tells her not to, and says they should simply plan something else. Erica says she feels bad since she wanted to do something special for Haru after she had a bad first day at work. Monami is silent for a moment before she reveals Haru didn't tell her about it, but that she had a feeling, once again going to show how Haru seems to find it difficult to tell Monami when bad things are happening to her. Erica says she'll call her back when she figures something out. Erica gets frustrated about the entire situation before having the realization that even though she's complaining about this one situation, Haru has to deal with this every single day, harkening back to their conversation in the bath about the changing room stuff. Erica says Haru already knew how everyone would respond, but she doesn't want to prove her right, so she decides to look up spa alternatives on her phone. The first suggests a hot springs instead, which both have the same problems and is something they already did. Second is a Super Sento, which she was looking at earlier, so that's out. And the final one is making a spa at home. This one gets her attention, so she reads further, and after learning more about what it entails, She really likes the idea, at least as an alternative. She decides to call Monami for her opinion, and the woman is immediately on board. Erica says she'll go shopping for some stuff as Monami explains that she has face masks at home she can bring. Monami says they'll need a place to do it, and Erica offers hers, even though it's a bit cramped, and Monami gets excited since she's never been to her place before. Monami says she'll check out what she has and hangs up. Erica goes to tell Haru, but we're given a choice as to how we're going to tell her, deciding to say it was too expensive, since it's not fully a lie. She starts the convo very casually saying that it turns out spas are expensive, so they're going to do a spa day at Erica's place instead. Haru doesn't immediately respond, so Erica sends her question mark stickers before realizing she's at work, and so she apologizes for the spam. Erica says she should get some spring cleaning done, likely not having had a good excuse before. She complains about the dirty clothes on the floor before remembering they're hers. Once it's all cleaned up, it actually looks pretty good. I'm also noticing now that she has a loft bed, which I also had for a few years back when I was a teenager, and I remember really liking it. Though there was once I broke my wrist, so I couldn't even sleep in my actual bed for about a month. Erica seems almost disgusted that it's so organized now and decides to mess it up again after the birthday weekend. She gets a response from Haru asking if that's really okay and saying she doesn't want her to go to all the trouble. Erica questions herself and we get another choice. I do like that all of the choices in this segment are fairly obvious, but maybe that's because of the way it's structured. For this ending, we decide to reconsider the plans. She asks Haru what she wants to do instead, and Haru says that maybe they shouldn't do anything. Erica questions how they got here and reiterates that they're going to do something, but Haru says to cancel everything as though it isn't a big deal. When Haru doesn't respond any further, Erica wonders if she wanted to do a birthday thing in the first place, which I don't think Haru doesn't want to. It's more that she's so focused on her own anxieties and worrying about other people going to such trouble for her that it's overwhelming her, and she wants to try and get out of it even though she does want it. That's basically what she says later, but I'm just clarifying now. She decides to wait for her to reply, and we get the ending, April 4th, cancel everything, with the sorry sticker. The ending texts Erica saying it's okay to not do a birthday thing, but that Haru should have told her from the start, and Haru sends an apology explaining that she just got stressed out about it, saying it's stupid and that she can't talk about it right now. This is, honestly, probably the most honest she gets before the actual weekend itself. Erica apologizes, but Haru says it's just her being her usual self and asks to talk later, leaving the text on more amicable terms than some of the others. Well, there's only 2 more endings left, one bad and one the good or true ending. We go back and tell her we can do this, with Erica noting that she knows this is just Haru not wanting to be a bother on anyone, even though she already isn't. Erica tells her she's excited to try it out, and Haru asks if she's sure. Erica reassures her it's fine, and Haru tells her to let her know if she changes her mind. Erica says that she won't because she cleaned her apartment, and that's a big deal. Haru says it's been a while since she visited someone's home, and Erica warns her not to expect much, and that her apartment is half the size of Monami's room. Which, if that's true, that's insane both for how small the apartment is and how big Monami's room is. Girl is rich. Haru says she's looking forward to it, and the conversation ends. Erica muses that it feels like Haru replies in stamps more than words, which is also relatable. I use a lot of GIFs and emojis and the like when I message people. It's also fitting given each of the endings is accompanied by a stamp. I've been referring to them as stickers, but there isn't much distinction, so I'm probably just going to keep doing that. Erica congratulates herself for cleaning by watching some more episodes of her shows. We move into Friday, April 5th. We start with Erica at the store having stayed up way too late, checking the list she made to see what she needs to buy, which is scented candles, herb tea and cups, and a salt scrub. She looks around getting all the stuff she needs before deciding she needs something extra. We get a few options, and each one unlocks a different CG on the next day. We'll check all of these, but first the nail polish, where Erica realizes she's never seen Haru with nail polish on. I've only just recently started trying nail polish, but I can see the appeal. It looks amazing, especially the black I put on, since it complements my pale skin very well, I think. My boyfriend and everyone at work agreed as well, which those people don't know I'm trans, so it also means a lot coming from other people who don't know, you know. I want to try some other colors too, like a nice deep red, since that's my favorite color, if you couldn't tell by my name. Erica then calls Monami, who tells her she just put in the order for the cake. Monami wants to make a schedule for them to follow, but Erica tells her that's a bad idea, until Monami manages to convince her. Erica asks when she's arriving, and Monami tells her she'll come over in the afternoon. Monami mentions giving her presents after the cake, which makes Erica realize she didn't get a present for Haru. Monami tries to assure her that setting all this up is like a present, but Erica isn't happy enough with that. I'm sure Haru really wouldn't care, but given that Erika ends up giving her something really, really good, I'm glad she decides to anyway. She says she'll call Monami later and hangs up. Erika isn't sure what Haru would want for her birthday, at least in terms of things she could actually get her, and tries to think of something. She wants to get her something Haru wouldn't be able to just get herself, but after some time at the store, she can't think of anything. She decides to use the internet again to find a gift for a transgender friend, but while the first results suggest a wallet, the rest talk about issues like which washrooms they should use. Just as she's giving up on the internet, Haru sends her a message. She texts to find Haru telling her she might have a cold, and that they should cancel so she doesn't get either of them sick. Which by now you should probably be able to guess is a lie. Erika believes it, obviously, but mentions that a spa day would actually make her feel better rather than worse. However, we get the choice here, and obviously we do the bad ending first and decide to cancel. Erika says they can postpone, but Haru, of course, wants to flat out cancel it, saying it's probably a lot of work. Erika isn't having it, though, and says she and Monami got everything prepared already, so they'll just have to do it another time. Haru responds by saying she could take a while to recover, which to me just makes it even more obvious that it's fake. And then Erika says the stuff won't go bad, so Haru can just tell her when she's feeling up for it. Haru says okay, and the conversation ends. Erika wonders just how serious the cold is, and we get the ending April 5th, postponed until, with the question mark sticker. The ending text starts with Erika asking how Haru is doing, and Haru says she's doing better. I wish we knew how much longer this took place after. Erika says if she wants to reschedule the spa day, but Haru says she doesn't know and that she might still be contagious, so they shouldn't reschedule yet. She's probably hoping Erika will just drop it eventually, but knowing her, that's doubtful. Even then, she'll likely just come up with another excuse. Now we head back to pick the correct option when she asks how bad the cold is, putting us on the path to the true ending. Haru doesn't seem to take the opportunity to exaggerate, probably because she doesn't want to actually worry Erika, and says she's just feeling a little sick. Erika says a good soak in a bath should make her feel better, and that she'll buy fruit since vitamin C should help. I have no comment on that. I don't know enough about nutrition to know how true that is. She asks if there's anything Haru likes to eat when she's sick, and Haru says she likes sweet things. Erika also realizes she can ask what she wants for her birthday, but Haru immediately says she doesn't have to get her anything. Well, of course. Erika tells her just to answer the question, and Haru jokingly answers she wants an ID with her real name and gender on it, then apologizes for making the joke before feeling awkward and backing out. Erika thinks about the ID, and although she knows she can't get a real one, she has an idea for what she can do. And so we move into Saturday, April 6th. We come back to Erika's room, dressed up to create a more spa-like ambiance, with paintings by Monami, items on the desk, and a towel hanging from the loft bed ladder. Monami comes in saying her work in the bathroom is done, that she's scattered rose petals in the bathroom, which feels unintentionally really romantic, and I'm sure would have only made her feel more awkward. Erika asks about the canvas paintings, and Monami explains that her mom collects art, which makes Erika panic that it might be something really expensive. When Monami says she doesn't know, Erika says she needs to be careful when taking it down. Monami gets a call from Haru, and we can immediately tell it doesn't seem good. She comes back to tell Erika that Haru says she isn't feeling well and can't make it today. Erika wonders if her cold yesterday got worse, but after a pause, Monami says that it hasn't. She says Haru does this a lot, that they'll arrange to meet up on a day, then suddenly she has an excuse for why she can't go. Monami thinks it's because she gets anxious about meeting people, which, while that is true, I'm sure with Monami in particular, her having a crush on her that she knows will never be returned probably doesn't help. Monami even sort of acknowledges this, that with her it's probably even worse because they've known each other for so long, since even before she came out. She felt the need to hide from everyone for so long who she truly was, even her best friend and eventual crush, and that's a mentality that's hard to lose. Monami believes that's why even to this day Haru can't always be honest with her. Erika comments that's one reason, since she knows about the crush, and when Monami questions this, Erika tells her to ignore her. It's such an unhealthy but super realistic mentality. I mean, I have social anxiety, among other anxiety in general, and I think if I hadn't gone and then worked in retail for 6 years, I would have been able to actually talk to anyone. I only grew to be able to do so because I basically forced myself into an environment that required it, and despite how hellish retail is, I'm glad that I managed to overcome a lot of that in the process. I imagine it's similar for Haru, who hasn't had that sort of push yet, though we can only hope getting into a real job will help start her on that path, even if the circumstances aren't exactly the same as mine. I mean, I'm not even out publicly yet, at least, not really. I live in a state that is extremely tolerant, but I'm still frightened to come out to basically anyone I'm not very close to, even though I quite literally pass as female to most strangers. Haru, at least, is out and herself. I'm still not even there yet, so I'm still hiding out from people in my own way. Of course, not every transgender person's story is the same, but I like and relate to Haru a lot in the way we parallel and contrast each other in these sorts of ways. I'm further along in my physical transition than her, but she's further along in social transitioning than me. Monami asks if Erika can talk to Haru for her, since she thinks she's more honest with Erika than her, which is absolutely true. Erika says she'll talk to her and Monami leaves. Erika starts messaging Haru, but isn't sure what to say at first. She asks if there's a reason she doesn't want to do a spa day. When Haru says she just can't, Erika asks if she can call, and Haru gives her a thumbs up. Haru immediately asks what Monami told her, and Erika relays the lie before questioning if that's all. Haru doesn't respond, so Erika apologizes for it potentially being something she didn't want. Haru says it's a problem with herself, how it always ends up that way. She goes off about how they went through all this effort for her and she ruined everything, and I can almost imagine how she's probably starting to cry as she rants like this. I thankfully don't do that kind of thing very much anymore, at least with my actual voice. I definitely do it in text, though. Erika tells her to calm down and that she just wants to know what's wrong, telling her they can scrap the spa day. She just wants her to come over so they can talk. After a moment, Haru asks if Monami is there, and Erika tells her no before saying she'll be over soon. Haru arrives and walks in wearing a super pretty outfit with her hair up. I wish I was able to dress this nicely. I'm sure one day. Haru apologizes for essentially being a ball of anxiety, but Erika tells her it's alright, and that they can just sit and eat snacks rather than talk if it would help. But after a pause, Haru says thank you, since even the gesture seems to make her feel better. She explains she was really looking forward to the spa day, but that the entire week her brain kept telling her to find some way out of it because she felt it wouldn't end well. She explains the entire process of how it felt with the change in plans, and Erika apologizes, asking if that's why she kept asking about canceling everything. Haru says she wasn't sure about the spa, and Erika brings up their trip, to which Haru says she only went into the bath with Erika, but this time Monami would be here, potentially seeing her when she isn't in the kind of body she wants. And it's easy to see why she might have panicked. It's already bad enough having body dysmorphia, but then having your crush there seeing you like that would definitely just make it worse on a whole other level. I take it from someone with some experience. Showing yourself like that to the person you love, even if you have no doubts they'll fully accept you no matter how you look, it's extremely terrifying. Erika almost seems annoyed that Haru brings up Monami, which I interpret as her annoyance that her own crush is bringing up her own crush. Haru says it's stupid because she knows Monami knows she hasn't gotten the surgery or anything, but she still can't face her like that if it came to it. Erika correctly tells her that's not stupid at all and thanks Haru for telling her. She says they can call Monami later and figure out something else for her birthday, to which Haru says thanks and blushes. She then says they can skip the bath stuff, but use the other items they already got, like the face masks and the like, so it doesn't go to waste, asking if she'd like to have a mini spa day with just the two of them. Haru, still blushing, says yes. From here, we get the CGs depending on the item we chose at the store. We'll look at all three, starting with the nail polish. Haru looks especially cute in this CG as well. Erika apologizes ahead of time as she gets it on her skin, but Haru tells her she'd probably be better at it than her. Erika picks out a color for Haru and starts applying it to her hand as Haru smiles. When Erika asks how it is, Haru calls it cute, saying she's never painted her nails before. Erika says she doesn't do it much either and tells her to keep the set, to which, while I would expect Haru to go, "No, I couldn't possibly keep it," she actually accepts it and says thank you, then saying she'll try doing it herself sometime. Next up is the face roller. In the store, Erika says it's supposed to make your face prettier, but it seems good for a massage. For the actual CG, we get a closer look at Haru as Erika holds the roller. Haru questions how you're supposed to use it, to which Erika replies that she doesn't actually know, but that it was cheap and seemed fun to try. She squishes it against Haru's cheek as the girl frowns. After a pause like this, Erika starts to laugh about how it looks, and Haru responds by saying this can't be the right way to use it, saying it feels weird. Erika asks if she can take a picture, but Haru says no. Lastly is the cucumbers. In the store, Erica says she has no idea what they do, but she sees them used all the time, so surely they must do something. Back home, we see Haru and Erica wearing face masks, with Haru questioning whether this is really how they're supposed to do it. When they put the cucumbers on their eyes, she says it feels a bit silly. Haru questions what it's supposed to do, and Erica replies that apparently it's supposed to make your eyes less puffy, though she doesn't really know how. Haru asks how long they're supposed to keep the cucumbers on for, and Erica replies that the face mask stays on for 15 minutes, so they'll keep the cucumbers on for that long, too. I've never done this kind of thing before at all, so I would have absolutely no idea about any of this. After a moment, Haru questions if it's even doing anything, and Erica says she doesn't know. When it's all done, Erica says she feels refreshed, and Haru says it was fun. Erica then asks if she's feeling better, and Haru says that she is, once again blushing adorably. Haru asks about the spas not working out, and this time we can be honest and say yes. She apologizes, but Haru says it isn't necessary and that she doesn't blame them, since they could get in legal trouble for letting her in. She states that it's fine, and she wouldn't have felt comfortable going to a spa anyway, since she's sure the staff wouldn't be comfortable with her. Erica wants to comfort her, but Haru tells her she had a lot of fun. Erica says she wishes she could have done more, and that she didn't realize how hard it was for Haru. She questions how Haru isn't angry all the time, and she would be furious if she were in Haru's shoes. Haru says that you just get used to it. I'm not exactly in the same boat as her, as once again, I'm not as publicly out as she is, but I can understand that mentality of something growing numb to it at a certain point. Haru says she appreciates those that channel their anger into fighting for better things, but for her, it's just too much to focus on all the time. That's basically how I view politics. I choose to stay completely ignorant, at least as much as I can, since I already have enough stressors and anxiety in my life that trying to pay attention to that stuff would just kill me. It's better to not have to worry about things I can't control, so I don't. I avoid it best I can. Now, for this next part, I'd like to read Haru's lines verbatim, because I think it deserves it. I mean, all over the news, people are talking about Reiwa, new era. They're talking about how the era changing and what that might change for everyone. But nothing's changing for me. Nothing. I mean, the Supreme Court upheld the law that transgender people need to be sterilized to change their legal gender. That was just this January. Sure, they said this law might become outdated as society changes. But are they changing the law? No. So I can't change my legal gender. And even if I did, I still wouldn't be able to get married to the person I love. So what if a couple of wards have something similar to marriage for gay couples now? They're only valid in those wards. They're not really recognized as marriages. Everywhere I go, I feel like I'm being turned away. I can't go to women's spaces because I'm not legally a woman, but I can't go to men's spaces because I obviously don't belong there either. It makes me too anxious to even go on a spa trip with my friends. Because society keeps telling me that I'm not really a woman. But then what the hell am I supposed to be? I just want to live my life like everyone else. But I'm not even allowed that. Being transgender is terrible. Genuinely. Like, don't get me wrong, it's nice when you can finally come to realize who you truly are and reach a point where you can feel comfortable in your own body, but for most people, that's just the norm. But for us, we have to work for it and suffer along the way. And then on top of the painful inner struggle of trying to accept and be happy with ourselves, we also have to deal with society telling us we're weird and wrong, that we're creepers or predators or sinful simply for daring to exist. We can't find a place in the world because we can't even figure out who we are on the inside, not without effort and pills and surgery. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone, really. Maybe one day things can be different. Things have been changing, but it's so slow and there's so much pushback, at least here in the States, that it's hard. I mean, it's part of the reason I want to move to Canada instead. But I want to stay hopeful that things will change. There used to be so much stigma around being gay, and now that's basically a normal, accepted thing these days in the US, even protected by the law. I can only hope that the same will happen for trans people, both here and around the world. Also, seeing Haru cry makes me really sad. After apologizing, Erica declares she's going to hold her hand, and we get an adorable CG of the two of them. Unfortunately, it's the most romantic or intimate we get to see from them. Not even a kiss, sadly, but it's still very cute to see Erica immediately rushing to provide some physical comfort without overstepping Haru's boundaries in any way. Erica apologizes for basically thinking she had any idea how hard things were for Haru. She says she thought she could make things better for her birthday, but she couldn't, and she's sorry. Haru tells her she has already done more than enough, that when they first met, she was scared of her and all the personal questions she asked, but with even all that, when they met, Erica didn't judge her, wasn't disgusted or disturbed. She simply saw her as she was, a woman. She says that, even if Erica is sometimes clumsy and fails now and then, having even one more person accept her means more than she can ever say. Haru then asks Erica to look at her. When she does, Haru smiles as the CG becomes even cuter than before, bubbles popping up around the screen. Haru sincerely says thank you to Erica for being her friend. And Erica fumbles by finally slipping and saying she wants to kiss Haru. Naturally, Haru is completely thrown off by this, and Erica blushes as she fumbles around trying to explain herself and even begins rambling. She tries to run away, but Haru tells her to come back. When she does, Haru asks if she meant it. Erica says she isn't sure at first, and Haru reiterates that she likes Monami, but then asks again if she meant it. Erica says she doesn't know what she wants, but that she was hurt when she heard about her birthday from Monami instead of her. Plus, she felt really, really happy when Haru smiled at her, and yeah, I can't confirm, my wonderful boyfriend smiling is one of the most beautiful sights in the entire world. Erica says that Haru can just ignore everything she said, and after a pause, Haru asks one last time if she really meant it, and Erica finally says a blatant yes. Haru begins to cry again and says thank you. Erica's confused until Haru explains she never thought someone could like her in that way, and says, I'm so broken in so many ways, so why would anyone ever be attracted to me? When I played this game for the first time, this line made me cry. Hell, even just writing it got me to tear up, and maybe reading it will too. It didn't, but, seeing it in front of me usually makes me. I have this same kind of mentality about myself. I have for a long time, even before I realized I was trans. My wonderful boyfriend has helped me see myself better, but it's been very slow progress. It's so damn hard not to see myself this way, and so hearing that support, hearing someone call you cute or beautiful, funny and amazing, charming and inspiring, to hear that someone can love you despite all your flaws, it's wonderful. It's a blessing that people like us have a hard time believing was ever possible. This line is the one that made me realize I needed to talk about this game, because of just how relatable Haru is in every possible way. Even now, I still struggle to see any sort of beauty in myself most days, but now that I'm much closer to looking what I feel like inside, it does happen. There are days I'll see myself in the mirror and go, wow, I actually look pretty. Then take a picture and send it to my boyfriend, and he'll agree, and I'll feel validated by myself. It's slow progress, but progress all the same. Erica tells her she's not broken, and to her credit, Haru says she knows, but that it feels that way sometimes. She says thank you, but she likes Monami. Erica gets upset and says she doesn't need to be reminded and asks if they could just keep being friends. Haru asks if that's what she wants, and Erica says, of course. Then she replies by saying she'd like that too. With that settled, Erica gives Haru her birthday present. She hands it over and discovers it's a very well-made fake ID with Haru's real name and gender on it, just as she asked for. Erica says it's not really usable, but that she figured she'd like to have one anyway. She thinks it's stupid, but Haru says she loves it, and that she'll keep it in her wallet as she blushes. And I wouldn't be surprised if this might have been the first real moment Haru started feeling things for her back. I mean, I probably would in this situation, that's for sure. Erica blushes too as she says she's glad Haru likes it, and the two just stare at each other for a bit, blushing like two shy high schoolers. Yeah, that's definitely where the first feelings started to blossom. Haru says that she's really, really happy they're friends, and Erica agrees before asking if she wants to have snacks. Erica says she's got Mekon, says that's good for colds, and asks for help finishing it. And I'm not actually sure if this is Erica making fun of her for saying she has a cold and going, well, since you had a cold, you could help me finish, right? Or if she genuinely still thinks Haru has one. She says Haru needs to take responsibility since she bought them for her, so maybe it's the former. They eat the fruit together as we fade into the ending. April 6th, a day with friends, with a sticker of a person with a candle on their head. The ending text starts with Haru telling Erika thanks for talking to Monami for her, since she wasn't sure she'd be able to, and Erika replies that she needs to tell Monami when she's feeling better. Haru once again says thank you for everything she said, even if she can't return her feelings. For now. She says she wants to tell Monami her feelings too eventually, since Erika has given her courage to be honest. Erika childishly but endearingly says she'll treat Haru to ice cream after, and Haru says she'll look forward to it. And that is Last Day of Springs. Now, as I mentioned before, I relate to all these girls in a number of ways. I relate to Haru being trans, Erika being bisexual and kind of clumsy when it comes to having a crush, and Monami by being asexual. Though I've recently come to realize I'm actually demisexual, but the thought still applies. Obviously, I relate to Haru the most, and this segment lets us see more of her personality from an outside perspective, see just how bad her anxiety can get, as well as her rant on the state of the world, which feels really cathartic in some ways if I'm being honest. Not to mention that one line about being broken, as quite literally just a few days before writing that section of the script, I had a spiral where I said the exact same thing about myself, which should get across just how much I relate to her. The relationship blossoming between her and Erika is beautiful, and it's nice to see where it really started going into the final segment where they're actually dating. I wish we did get to see more, like at least one kiss, but I kinda understand why they didn't do it at the same time. The segment, while not as good as the first, is very enjoyable, and I like the setup of it all. The endings are way easier to map out than the other two, and Erika is an extremely likable character, especially seeing her adorably crush on Haru without even realizing it, and the lengths she'll go to make her happy even before they're dating. This last section is probably my least favorite. It's not bad, still great, and I like seeing Haru and Erika's relationship in it, and the epilogue. That's definitely weaker than the other two. Either way, let's head on into Spring Leaves No Flowers, the final segment before the short epilogue, focused on Monami. We start with Monami sitting somewhere. I'm not actually sure, but she looks adorable in this outfit with the little blanket cape thing and the random cat ears. I haven't the foggiest idea what's happening, but it's cute. Monami is talking to herself about how tea is nice after a long walk all day throughout the park. She decides to call her boyfriend, who we finally get to meet, and learn his name, Tatsuya. She confirms she made it home, and for being our first impression of him, it's pretty good. He says he wished he accompanied her home, despite living in the opposite direction, and praises Monami's friends, since he finally got to meet them. He then drops a bombshell immediately by asking why Monami didn't tell them they were dating. Maybe it's simply because a fresh set of eyes can be clearer than those who are biased, but it's honestly impressive he was able to tell and she couldn't. Obviously, Monami denies this, but Tatsuya asks if she's sure, with Monami saying that they'd tell her if they were. It shows she has complete faith in her friends even if she knows that Haru doesn't like to tell her things. I suppose she'd expect Erika to tell her at least, but I can understand why they'd want to keep it private at first. Their explanation later makes a lot of sense. I also think this is a really good way to hook the player immediately, especially as Monami is definitely the weakest character of the three in my opinion. I had unfortunately spoiled myself about Haru and Erika getting together, so it didn't really have that same punch for me, but even so, I think it's a great start, and then later on helps lead easily into Monami realizing she's asexual. Tatsuya wisely decides to back down and tells her they should go to bed, and apologizes for keeping him. He says he didn't mind staying up to hear her voice because it makes him very happy, which is also insanely relatable. My boyfriend and I feel comfort and safety simply hearing one another. Once they hang up, Monami wonders about why he might have thought Haru and Erika were dating. She decides to tell them tomorrow, believing they'll get a laugh out of it. We cut to the next day where we get to see Monami's bedroom and her main outfit for this segment. Her room is very pink, and I adore the stars on the walls. It reminds me of the glow-in-the-dark stars I used to have glued to my ceiling when I was a kid. I'll probably do the same for my kids too, to be honest. It brought me a lot of comfort. I'm sure it could do the same for them. We get our first choice as to who to try and contact. We decide to call Erika, but she doesn't answer at first, before finally answering and shouting that she's trying to sleep. I've never yelled at anyone over my sleep like that, but I've definitely felt like it. Not letting herself feel deterred, Monami uses her time to study, and unlike Erika, who would just watch shows. Studying sucks. One of the worst things in the world, especially for an ADHD person. Monami shows herself to be extremely diligent with her studies as well, but that's not exactly surprising for someone like her. The most effort I ever put into a class was AP History in high school. She even gets to a point where she considers starting the reading for next week, but before that she gets a call from Erika. She says she sent messages to Monami, but she was too focused on studying to see them. Erika apologizes for yelling at her, which is great. I actually do like how much they apologize to one another. I know that's pretty standard in Japanese culture, but as someone from the US, it's just nice to see. Erika tells her to just message her next time, but Monami says she likes calling to hear people's voices, which I greatly disagree with. Phone calls stress me out so much, even when they're just mundane. Monami asks if Erika would like to hang out, and Erika invites her to come and make banana bread. Monami agrees, saying it sounds fun. She offers to invite Haru, which immediately makes Erika freak out. But then Monami explains that she just wanted to see if she'd want any bread. Once Erika has calmed down, she says she'll be ready in an hour, and they hang up. Monami wonders why Erika was acting strange before deciding not to think about it at that moment. She heads out, and we once again get to see Erika's apartment with a new outfit for her. Take note of the earring she's wearing, a teardrop shape. Some time has passed as they are discussing that the rice cooker is already working on the bread. Erika says she doesn't have an oven, even for a college student in an apartment. That feels insane, doesn't it? Meanwhile, Monami says she doesn't have a microwave, which I also can't imagine. Erika says she can ask Watabe about it, and Monami gets confused before realizing she's saying her boyfriend's name wrong, and it's actually Watanabe. I love how Erika dismisses her boyfriend so much, even to the point that I'm pretty sure when she says it wrong next time too, it's on purpose. Probably because of how his existence made Haru feel, who is now her girlfriend. So that whole protective nature is just really cute. She dismisses the name, but she says she appreciates the birthday present she got, meaning Erika's birthday is the only one we don't get to see fully celebrated. Monami then has the option to bring up what Tatsuya said the other day, but in a strange change from the previous two segments, it's crossed out. We can still select it, and doing so does affect the ending we get, but if we do, Monami doesn't actually say it, she instead goes quiet. Erika asks her what he said, but she replies that he said it was nice meeting the two of them. Monami says the four of them should meet up more often, once again bringing up Haru, which just causes Erika to freak out again, and even blush. I mean, we already knew how much she was in love with the girl, but it's still adorable that even just hearing her name gets her flustered. Erika tries to play it off and rushes to get the bread when it's done. She successfully changes the subject as she presents the bread, to which Monami says it looks delicious. Back at home, Monami talks to herself about how good the bread was before ruminating on how Erika was acting a bit weird whenever she mentioned Haru. I think it's realistic she doesn't figure it out right away, or at least gets the wrong impression. She decides to ask Haru about it as well, and we get a choice here. We choose to see if Haru is free, and so she calls her. And it's funny, because whenever we go some time without seeing Haru, seeing her face and her cute bow again makes me smile. Haru says she's free, and Monami invites her out to eat at a place with tapioca pancakes, which sounds disgusting, in my opinion. Haru is silent for a moment before asking if Erika is coming. I'm sure she's coming for you. Ayo! I'm sorry. When Monami asks if she should invite her, Haru shouts no before saying that she's probably tired. They agree to meet and hang up, and now having seen both of them react weirdly, she says that she hopes everything is okay between the two of them. When Monami gets there, she spots Haru wearing a necklace and says that the design is familiar. When we get to actually see Haru, we can see the necklace is the same teardrop shape as Erika's earring. The rest of her outfit is a bit plain compared to her other ones we've seen, but I do like the overcoat, though I'm sad she's missing the bow. Feels kind of signature, you know? Monami stares at her for a while in silence, probably trying to remember where she's seen the necklace design before. We get our first Haru blush of this segment as Monami compliments her, and don't worry, we get our first Monami blush later on too. Monami already paid for the pancakes as a thank you for being my friend sort of gift to Haru, which makes her blush again. I would bet that even though Haru is dating Erika, there's probably going to be some lingering feelings for Monami for a while. That's how it's been for me in the past, at least. Monami mentions how she wants to bring Tatsuya, and immediately Haru gets sour again. It seems like both Erika and Haru acknowledge that Tatsuya is a good boyfriend and all, but they still don't like him for one reason or another. Monami brings up Erika, and just like with the mentioned girl, Haru also immediately freaks out. Haru asks what's up with her and we get another choice, where the option to ask if something happened between them is crossed out like the previous option. For this route, we instead choose the other option, to ask about her birthday present. We learn Monami got her a journal, but Haru says she isn't sure she would use one, but reassures by saying that she seemed happy when she opened it. This makes Monami feel better and the two eat their pancakes. We cut back to Monami's room where she says that even if the two girls are acting a bit weird, she's sure she can fix things with a day out together. She decides to call Tatsuya and tells him about her day. It's mundane, easy, and kind of plain dialogue, but it's sweet all the same. I hate the question, how are you, or how is your day, with a burning passion, because they expect you to say, it's fine, or it's good. But if you're honest instead, it makes things awkward. And then that gets multiplied if people ask you multiple times in a row in the span of like 10 minutes. I speak from experience. But I actually like asking this question to my boyfriend because I like hearing about his day, and I like him asking because I know he actually cares and wants to know. Tetsuya brings up going on a walk, and Monami suggests inviting her two friends before he explains he'd want just the two of them, which Monami seems almost disappointed by. I love the subtle detail that she always wants to invite the others along, basically no matter what they're doing. I think it kind of adds to that idea of her being asexual, not realizing initially that he'd want alone time since she loves all of them. They decide to talk more tomorrow about meeting up, and she hopes that pancakes will help Haru and Erika deal with whatever's going on. Here we get the first ending. Let's get pancakes, showing said pancakes. The message we get is from Erika, who says she doesn't want tapioca pancakes and would rather go to Alouette. Absolutely relatable. We go back to the start and check if Haru is free first, setting up a route that essentially plays the previous one in reverse. She calls Haru, who picks up, unlike Erika, though she explains she was just about to wake up with Monami called, telling us it's just past 8. Monami tells her about the pancakes, and just like before, Haru asks if Erika's coming. Blah blah, coming joke, same, whatever. It's the same as before, but Monami doesn't recognize the necklace since she hasn't been to Erika's. She compliments it all the same, making Haru blush, though it's for a different reason than you initially think this time. When we get the option to talk about what Tatsuya did, it's still crossed out, but we pick it anyway. Things play out the same as with Erika, where she doesn't say anything. Monami says the four of them should meet up more often, and just like with Erika, Haru freaks out the mere mention of her girlfriend's name. It's so cute. She heads back home, thinking about Haru freaking out over Erika, and decides to call her to ask if something happened. However, despite being later in the day, Erika still says she's asleep. She says it's the weekend, so it's fine, and I miss those days when I didn't work the entire weekend. Monday has become my favorite day of the week instead, since I only work Tuesday and Thursday during the week, so the weekend is the only time I have 2 shifts in a row. The conversation from here plays out the same as before. She doesn't comment on the earring, but brings up Haru. The real dialogue option is crossed out, and for this route, we instead pick the option where Monami asks if she thinks she had fun yesterday. Erika says she might have been nervous since her boyfriend was there, saying his name wrong again. Erika tells her not to worry and goes to get the bread. This time when Monami goes home, she wants to have a baking party with everyone, believing that'll help with whatever is bothering her friends. She calls Tatsuya again and tells him about her day, and he's a bit sad that she didn't ask him to hang out too, once again showing that Monami almost seems to put her friends above him. She tells him her idea of a baking party, and he seems hesitant, but then transitions into asking her to go to baking lessons then, just the two of them. Once more, he tries to steer things into letting them hang out alone, since most of the time she hangs out with the other two. I could see how this could kinda come across as bad vibes, but I get it. If your girlfriend spent a lot of time with her friends, I'd get why you'd want to try and get things to be just the two of you for a bit. Plus, the stuff he does at the end proves he's a good boy, despite the feelings he might get. After this, they say goodnight, and Monami decides to set up the baking party the next day. The ending is, let's make banana bread, showing said bread. The ending message is from Haru, who said she'd love to have a baking party, stuttering when she mentions Erika. Again, they're just so cute. With this, we head back to the meeting with Haru and select the option to say Tatsuya liked meeting them. When we get to the next choice back at Monami's place, we give Erika a call like usual, and things play out the same. However, this time, the initial option that was crossed out is gone and replaced with something different, both of which appear to have the same idea, just with slightly different wording. We decide to pick the first one, where we say he can't wait to see them both again. The ending here is slightly different, where Monami doesn't dwell on the weirdness between her friends, calling Tatsuya to talk about her day, with him asking them to hang out tomorrow, and she says she hopes tomorrow will be just as fun. The ending is, let's talk again tomorrow, which shows her phone with Tatsuya on it. I find it interesting he doesn't have a picture like the other two, maybe to preserve his appearance for the end? That feels a bit strange, doesn't it? I suppose it's also to maybe not give him a sprite, since he doesn't actually have one, it's just that CG. The ending message is from Tatsuya, as you'd expect, and he asks if she'd like to go to an art exhibit. I've always kind of wanted to go to one of those. And once again, going back, we decide to watch a movie, giving us 2 options. It doesn't really matter which we pick, so we'll watch them both, starting with Cat for Hire, which is about a woman pulling a cart of cats down the road, I guess? At the end, Monami says she likes animal movies, which makes sense given both movies were about animals, and she remembers Tatsuya wanting to watch a movie about rabbits. Going back to the other one, The Traveling Dog Diary, which is about a woman and a dog riding around together to find a new owner. I'd bet in the end she takes him in. Afterward, she calls Tatsuya to tell him about the movie she watched and asks about the one he wanted to see. He asks if she'd like to go see it with him tomorrow, and she says yes, this time not bringing up Erika and Haru. She goes to bed dreaming about bunnies, and we get the ending, let's watch a movie with a cute rabbit. The message is from Tatsuya, who asks if Monami wants to have a nice romantic dinner before the movie at a good place he found. This essentially finishes off the first half of the segment, where Monami doesn't come to realize her friends are dating, and the second half will focus on that before shifting to her being asexual. We once again go back to the second Erika choice, where we finally attempt to ask Erika if something happened between her and Haru, meaning we've now asked both times if something happened. Yet Monami hesitates and asks the other question anyway, getting the same response as before. Back home, Monami wonders why she couldn't get the words out of her mouth and asks what was wrong even though she wanted to. She wonders if maybe they don't want her to know since neither of them have brought it up, before saying she wants to help them make up if they've had a fight, completely misinterpreting the situation. She decides to call one of them and just ask. She's given both options. Haru is crossed out, and that's the one we choose. But Monami decides not to, as she thinks Haru has enough to worry about already, which, given what we know about Haru, is more than likely true. She calls Erika instead, and we get presented with a choice, with the answer she wants to say crossed out once again. Here we can pick to say it's nothing, but Erika can tell there's something on her mind. Monami tells her goodnight, and the two hang up. Monami says she doesn't know why she's afraid to ask, even though she wants to. She says she loves them both and wants to make sure they get along, wondering why they haven't said anything to her, even though they're friends. She decides to go to bed, saying she'll think about it in the morning, and looks sad. We get the ending, let's think about this later, which shows a phone saying it's 10:37 p.m., which, given the amount of stuff they will still do even after this and the other routes, means they do stay up pretty late. The message is from Erika, telling her she's available to talk if she needs it since she was acting weird. We go back and pick the other option, and Monami mulls it over several times, and we actually have to pick the option itself multiple times before Erika tells her to just say whatever she wants to say. Monami says that it's late and she doesn't want to bother her, but Erika says not to use that as an excuse and tells her just say it. We get a choice box, but there's only one option. No longer crossed out, Monami finally asks what's going on with her and Haru. She asks if they had a fight, and Erika is surprised by this, saying no. She says she doesn't know why they're acting weird, and Erika tries to get her to figure it out before saying she wants to come over. Monami says that's fine, and the two hang up. And then, even though Erika just said that they weren't fighting, Monami looks up online what to do when you have two friends who are fighting. I swear, she seems studious and hardworking, but wow, she could be kinda dumb sometimes. She actually ends up reading these until she falls asleep, and Erika has to wake her up when she arrives. She asks if she wants to do this some other time, but Monami says no. Erika says things are still up in the air right now, so they weren't going to tell her yet, and Monami asks what she's talking about. Erika blushes as she says Haru and her. When Monami still doesn't get it, Erika says she'll just say it, and finally tells Monami that they're kinda dating. However, like I talked about before, Monami does this thing where she acts oblivious to what she's talking about, and I can't help but feel it's her trying to almost deny what she's hearing, as she thinks she means at first that they're dating other people, before Erika has to clarify they're dating each other, even though that should be extremely obvious from the wording. Erika says it's a test run since she got rejected once already, which only makes her more confused. Erika clarifies she confessed when they had the spa day, and Monami continues being oblivious by asking who she confessed to, even though it's, once again, extremely obvious. I swear, she's doing it on purpose. Erika even points out her being dense on purpose and explains that after the rejection, they started meeting up and that they're working things out at the moment. Monami asks what Erika means by liking Haru, and Erika explains that she thinks Haru is cute, which, aww. Monami is confused because she thinks Haru is cute too, to which Erika says that's not the same, and that she likes her romantically. Erika at first wonders if she's confused by them both being women, and Monami says that Haru already told her she's gay. She says she thought they were friends, as I guess she's never heard of friends eventually becoming partners before, and Erika says they just clicked. Monami still isn't sure what that means, and Erika says that she simply saw Haru as a girl she could fall in love with at some point, and says it's probably the same as with Tatsuya. Monami is, say it with me, still confused, and asks what he has to do with this, to which Erica asks why she's dating him. Here is where we really start getting into the idea of what's going on, though the player can probably already start getting an idea if they can look past Monami coming across as dumb here. Erica continues clarifying that she likes spending time with Haru and finds her cute and happy to be around, and that, quote, she wants to kiss her and stuff. Which I again wish we got to see at least one kiss, and there's like no fan art of them, so I can't even look stuff up. It's really sad. Maybe I'll commission one myself someday. Monami asks about the and stuff part because she doesn't know what that means. Erica asks if she's really going to make her say it, and she blushes as she basically says she wants to do more than just kissing. That means the sex. Then we finally get our first Monami blush as she says girls aren't supposed to say stuff like that, and Erica says girls have the same urges too. But then it drops. Monami questions this after a pause, and initially Erica thinks she means that it's improper or something before directly saying she gets horny, which I think is the most explicit this game ever gets. She then asks about Monami and Tatsuya, and says that surely Monami gets horny sometimes, right? We get another choice with another crossed-out answer, which is the one we choose. Monami starts saying, I don't think, before transitioning it into the other option where she says she doesn't think Erica should be talking about that sort of thing. Blushing again. Which, I mean, all of their blushes are cute, but hers especially, since it's so rare, it comes across as super adorable. I love the art style of this game so much. It's so cute and comfy. Erica says she won't mention it again, and turns back to her and Haru, saying that things are confusing, but that she wants this to go well. She asks if she's okay with them dating, and Monami says that of course she is. Erica says that it's late, and she should be heading home, declining Monami's offer to let her sleep over. She heads out, and Monami questions what Erica said as she blushes once more. She says that she doesn't get those urges, and wonders if Erica is messing with her. She then wonders if she doesn't have those feelings, then surely there must be something wrong with her, right? Her phone goes off, and Monami sees that it's Haru calling fairly late at night. Haru says she heard from Erica that Monami knows now. Monami says congratulations and that she's happy. Haru asks if she means it, and Monami asks why she wouldn't be happy that her two friends are dating, and Haru goes quiet before saying thank you. I like to interpret this as Haru relaxing, thanking her for saying something like that, since it means Haru can work towards letting her feelings for Monami go. Monami isn't happy that she didn't notice they were dating, but Haru reassures her by saying she did notice something was off and apologizes for not telling her sooner. She says she wants to give this a proper chance, which we know why, given what she said in the last section about not believing anyone could love her that way. Monami says she's happy for Haru, but is very clearly sad, and after both girls are quiet for a moment, Haru asks what's wrong. We once again get a choice where one is crossed out, and for this route, we choose to say it's nothing. Haru says okay, but I'm sure she doesn't believe her, having experience with that kind of thing herself. Monami says she really is happy for the two of them and dismisses it by saying she was just surprised by the news. After this, she tells Haru goodnight and they hang up. Afterward, Monami basically channels Haru by saying she doesn't want to saddle Haru with her own problems when she's dealing with stuff like a new relationship. She decides to think about it more in the morning, saying she should focus on being a good friend to Haru and Erica, and that she can worry about this later. We get the ending, let's be a better friend, with a little sprouting plant, which I think symbolizes Haru and Erica's blossoming new relationship. The message is from Haru, who once again tells Monami to let her know something is wrong. It feels like, in this case, Haru and Monami have switched their usual roles, which I find interesting, and maybe shows Haru has grown out of her own anxieties just a bit, enough to be the shoulder for Monami to lean on, probably greatly in part thanks to Erica. But anyway, we head back and select the true option. Monami doesn't speak at first, so Haru plows forward and says that when they went to the hot springs, Monami asked Haru to be more honest with her, and now she wants that sentiment returned back to her, since Monami is an important friend. The true dialogue option shows unimpeded and we select it. She admits something is up, saying she's a normal girl. When Haru isn't sure what she's talking about, she asks if they can meet up, because this night is never ending. She offers Alouette since it's still open and likely empty, and Monami agrees. Once there, we can indeed see that it's dark. It has to be past 11 by this point, likely closer to 11:30 if I had to guess. And there's still more to see. Haru gets them tea and asks what she talked about with Erica. Monami starts by saying she said she's happy that she's with Haru, and that makes Haru blush, of course. Hearing something so natural from an outside perspective feels really good. But then Monami says that it didn't feel that different from how Monami feels about Haru, which, as you'd expect, makes Haru react with surprise and probably alarm, since that basically comes off as a love confession. But Monami clarifies that's also how she feels about Erika, and Haru then looks disappointed. We fade to black as Monami tells her all about what she said. When we come back, we see Monami blushing as she reasons that girls don't have those sorts of feelings. Haru asks if she specifically doesn't have those feelings, and when she doesn't respond, she instead asks about Tatsuya, asking why she decided to date him. Monami says he confessed and she loved him, so she said yes. When Haru asks if that's it, Monami says he's also nice, almost like she has to reach to find something else to say. Haru admits that she used to be in love with someone else, and that she carried those feelings with her for a long time, which comes as a surprise to Monami. However, despite that, when Erika confessed, she felt butterflies in her stomach for the first time in a long time, which, oh my god, that's so cute! Haru asks if she's ever felt that way, and Monami says that surely she must have, but Haru sees right through it and asks if she's asexual or aromantic, and explains what that means to Monami, that she feels no sexual or romantic desire towards anyone. Monami says that can't be the case because she's dating Tatsuya, and Haru asks if she likes him romantically or sexually in any way. Monami gets embarrassed, but Haru pushes on, saying it's better for her to know. It's very true, even if it seems scary or weird or wrong, it's always better to know, and can usually bring a sense of relief once you come to terms with it and understand yourself better. It's a pretty similar thing with coming to terms about being trans. Simply finally putting a name to things like that brings you a sense of comfort, even if, as I said, being trans sucks. Monami says it doesn't make sense, and that she's never even heard of those words, so how can it apply to her, which does give me some bad vibes, but it's fine, she's just being defensive. Haru says it was the same for her when she found out she was trans and how she had to do some research, offering to lend some to Monami if she wants them. Monami says fine, but I think it's clear she's not enjoying this conversation in the slightest. She leaves, and I'm sure Haru can tell she's upset. Monami gets home, likely being close to midnight by this point, still denying what Haru said and clearly upset by it. She definitely seems to view it as her being abnormal, which is definitely not the case, and she'll come to realize that. She just has to check out the links anyway. The first one is a quiz about being Arrow or Ace, and although Monami doesn't believe she is, she says she should at least do it so she can tell Haru she was wrong. I wish we could hear what her tone sounds like here, because I almost want to imagine a haughty sort of tone with the, I'll tell her she was wrong, or something like that. She's then asked a series of questions, where we can choose to agree with all of them or deny them, which determines the next ending. To get another bad one, we choose to lie and have Monami simply agree with every single one of them, but we can tell it isn't at all genuine. At the end, she's told she likely isn't Arrow or Ace, and she goes, of course I'm not, saying she would know if she was different from everyone. She comes to the conclusion she's overthinking things because Erika made a weird joke, because she loves Tatsuya, and that should be enough. And it is! But just because you love someone and date them, doesn't mean you can't be Arrow, depending on the circumstances. She decides to go to sleep, saying things will make more sense tomorrow, even though we know that this isn't just going to go away. We get the ending, let's not think about this, which actually shows that same plant growing. This now leads me to believe that it's actually likely representing Monami instead, slowly growing to understand herself more. But of course, in this ending, she doesn't take it all the way, so it isn't fully grown. The message is from Haru asking for a follow-up and telling her she isn't alone. I find it nice knowing that all three girls are part of the LGBT spectrum. It's wonderful. When we go back, we instead choose all the true answers, with Monami finding herself almost speechless at times with some of them. This time she, of course, gets the result that she might be Arrow or Ace or both. Monami doesn't believe it at first and retakes it, only to get the same answer. She reads the description of what it means to be Arrow and Ace and gets confused, because she loves Tatsuya even if she doesn't want to have sex with him. She goes quiet, and although it's clear she's still unsure, we can also tell that she's starting to soften to the idea when presented with what she would see as better evidence than someone simply telling her, even if it's her best friend. She reads further and learns that there's nothing wrong with being Arrow or Ace, even if it affects only a small number of people. Sexual attraction is a spectrum, where you might not feel it at all or only in specific circumstances. That's essentially me. I used to think I was asexual, but then after I lost my virginity, I came to realize that I do actually experience sexual attraction. Go figure. But only toward my boyfriend, making me realize that I was actually demisexual instead of straight asexual, which feels weird to say. I could only ever find sex desirable if it's with a person I've become extremely close to, and I love my boyfriend more than even my own family. It's a complex spectrum that's hard to navigate, and it takes time to discover and learn about yourself to find the right labels. For me, at this moment, I am, and brace yourself for a mouthful, a panromantic, demisexual trans woman. It's a lot of labels that took me 24 years to fully realize, and I wouldn't be surprised if that continues to change as I learn more about myself in the future. There's nothing wrong with it, though. Nothing at all. Finally, Monami reads that you can be aromantic and still be in a relationship, which gives her pause. She questions basically her entire relationship, having never felt a desire to have sex or even butterflies in her stomach. Monami says she needs to talk to him about this, and we get a choice. We choose yes, but Monami finds herself scared to, wanting to organize her thoughts first. She decides she wants to talk to one of her friends, and we get yet another choice, where we choose Erica, which is crossed out, but when we do, Monami says she wouldn't understand, so she calls Haru instead. When she does, Haru picks up immediately, having had her phone nearby in preparation. Haru asks about the links, and Monami tells her she took the quiz and got its results. Monami is still confused and hesitant about it all, and says she wishes she could flip a switch to make her like everyone else. Haru then drops that she basically felt the same way about being trans for a long time, that life would be easier if she could just be happy with the body she had. But, of course, she never could. She tried lying to herself, but that didn't help either. She eventually had to simply accept who she was, and when she did, and started living life how she wanted, despite all of the bad stuff that happens, she feels happier. It's true, I've always had self-confidence issues than self-hatred, and while I still do, I feel like since I realized I was trans and came to terms with that, I've come to be way happier and able to work on myself more. And now, having been doing HRT for a year and a half, growing out my hair, passing as feminine to most people, growing breasts, I feel like I'm finally comfortable with parts of myself in ways I never could before. Haru ends by saying that whatever Monami is, she supports her 100%, because she wants to give back for all the support Monami has given her. She asks if she's going to talk to Tatsuya, and Monami says she should, and Haru says she'll talk to Erika as well, describing that she can be callous at times, referring to how she acted when they first met. Monami says thank you, and that she'll talk to Tatsuya tonight, with Haru saying she'll stay up to talk if she needs to after. She hangs up, and although we're given a choice, there's only one real answer, and that's to call Tatsuya. When he picks up, Monami says she needs to talk to him in person. He says that he'll go to her house to pick her up since it's dark, and they can go to the nearby park. It rhymes. We cut to Monami on a park bench, and we finally get to see him. Tatsuya, the first male in the entire game, and he looks pretty normal. He asks what she wants to talk about, and we fade to black as she tells him everything. When she's done, she says sorry, which confuses him. He asks if it's okay to hold her hand. She's confused by this before he explains that since she doesn't feel attraction the same way he does if it's okay. She says she likes it when they hold hands. Holding hands is incredible, very much so, but clarifies it doesn't make her heart beat faster or anything similar. They hold hands as he says thanks for telling him all this, and that he'll need time to think about it. She apologizes and he asks if she wants to break up. Monami says she isn't sure, since she doesn't think it's fair to him that she might not feel the same way he does. He asks if she loves him, and she says yes, but not in the way Haru described. But he reiterates that she wants to be with him, and she says yes. So he says that's good enough for them to try and figure it out together. She looks up at him in surprise as he smiles at her, and he explains that even if they both don't understand, they can figure it out together. That it's at least worth a try even if things don't work out. His feelings for her haven't changed, so he wants to try and work things out, and this is why we said Tatsuya is a good boy, even if Haru and Erika don't like him, because this kind of person is very rare. Monami was truly lucky to have found someone like him, and I do believe things will work out for them in the end. They decide to continue their talk tomorrow, since by now it's probably like frickin' 1 a.m. or something, and he walks her home. We find ourselves back in Monami's room, with her relieved that he was so okay with everything. She's about to give Haru a call to tell her everything is okay when Erika bursts in asking how it went, surprising Monami. Haru follows, apologizing for barging in. After Monami asks why they're there, Erika says she's sorry for how awful she was and that they both support her whatever happens. She also ends by threatening Tatsuya if he said anything bad. Monami explains how he was a good boy, and both girls are surprised, with Monami giving a surprise final blush as she says he wants to think about things first. She says things are still a bit confusing and thinks she's being a bother intruding on Haru and Erika's alone time with their own problems, but Haru assures her she's not, once again showing their swapped roles. Erika says that even though she and Haru are dating now, stuttering in the middle because aw, she's still their friend. She does say that Monami can repay the favor, though, by lending her huge TV, revealing she brought some movies, and then revealing all of the choices are horror movies, which both Haru and Monami show dislike toward. Monami questions all this, and Erika says that Haru said they shouldn't leave her alone tonight just in case Tatsuya did or said some bad stuff. And Monami says she'd be happy for them to all have a sleepover together. We then get a cute CG of them all, where Haru just looks so much bigger than the two of them, even though it's just because Monami is curled up and Erika's behind the couch. Monami says they should have a vote about which movie to watch, and although Erika tries to get them to watch her horror movies, the two other girls outvote her and instead pick a movie about puppies. Erika leaves to get plates for their snacks, and Monami thanks Haru, but Haru thanks her back for always accepting her for who she is, no matter what, and that she's happy to return the favor and help answer any questions she has. Erika comes back with snacks and drinks, and Monami gets the movie started as we get the ending, let's be honest, showing the full-grown flower. A pretty sight. The ending message is from Tatsuya, talking about how he was looking up articles and everything, and how he'd like to talk them over with her, which brings me confidence that the relationship will continue. And that's it! Both for this section and the main game as a whole. We still have the epilogue left, but it's fairly short, and I'll give my final thoughts there. I'm sorry if it seemed like I had a lot less to say about this section. I do relate to a lot of things within this section, and I did go into those points when they came up, but it is definitely far less so than the other two. Once again, it isn't bad, but I definitely think both it and Monami are the weakest of the three. The biggest thing is that I'm glad she has someone like Tatsuya, since, like I said, it's very rare to come across someone understanding enough to continue with the relationship, even given what he was told. I was very fortunate and lucky enough to have met a man like my boyfriend who accepts me for all I am, who, even if I stopped right now and never got surgery, would still love me just the way I was. He's one of the most accepting people I know, and I will love him for that forever. However, I shall save my very final conclusive thoughts for the end of the epilogue, since I have a little bit more to say. For now, weakest segment of the three, but not bad in the slightest. Continuing the theme, the epilogue is called The Coming Spring. We start with Haru and Monami in an unfamiliar room with boxes packed up in the background. We quickly infer that Monami is helping Haru pack up her stuff, and Tatsuya even offered to drive the stuff over. Apparently, Erika offered to let her take boxes on her motorcycle somehow, but neither girl understands how that would have worked. Monami talks about how weird it is since Haru has lived here since they met, meaning that this is likely her parents' house and her childhood room, meaning she still lived with her parents until very recently. Nothing wrong with that. I lived with my parents until I was 22 because I juggled both a job and college. Haru has a job, so it's not like she was freeloading. They reminisce sweetly about the past and how they've had good times in this room, but Haru says that she has a lot of memories here, a lot of which weren't so good, since due to how she is, she had a tough time growing up. Monami apologizes, but Haru says it isn't her fault, and that it's been on her mind anyway. Her parents were supportive, it's just that she grew up with conflicting feelings, even crying herself to sleep at times. I feel like as I became a teenager and even an adult, I stopped crying in front of others and crying a lot in general. I think I suppressed my emotions so I wouldn't get my parents' attention about it, but ever since moving out, and especially since dating Ark, I've come to be more emotional and cry a lot more. And I think it's because I finally feel comfortable and safe enough to let myself do that, which feels nice. Plus, crying usually helps you feel a lot better afterward. Haru talks about the good memories too, like how she felt when she wore a skirt for the first time. Same, girl. And how she told Monami she was trans. They reminisce about how she didn't even know what that meant at first and how Haru had to explain it all to her, and how she cried because Haru said she understood if Monami didn't want to be her friend, making Monami think she didn't want to be friends anymore. Haru says she accepted her, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's when she developed her crush. Haru finishes by saying she'll miss those good memories. Haru says moving will be a fresh start, and Monami says she has a moving gift, just as Erika appears. She offers to help pack when they're already done. We learn through Erika complaining about all their problems that Erika and Haru are actually moving in together, which is super exciting and awesome. It's a big step, but one that I'm sure will be amazing for both of them. Monami heads out to call Tatsuya, and Erika talks about how excited she is to get a bigger apartment with an actual kitchen, which Haru agrees with. They talk about how they went for an LGBT-friendly realtor, because apparently even being gay or trans can be a problem for realtors, which is so fucking stupid, but most realtors and landlords are, from what I've heard, so I've been lucky enough to get a good one, so. They talk about how lucky it is that their workplaces are so close, indicating that Erica also got a job, though Haru is suspicious of the proximity. Erica replies that it was a coincidence, but I'm suspicious as well, to be honest. Erica says that seeing all the boxes makes it hit that they're moving in together, and both girls blush one last time. So freaking cute. They talk about throwing things out, and Haru brings up some expired coupons. Erica says to get rid of it, but when she learns it's from the place they had their first date, she changes her mind and tells her to keep it. Haru says she'll stick it to their fridge, and when Erica points out that she said our, they blush again. Haru says she couldn't have imagined dating someone when she was a kid, much less moving in with them, wishing she could have told her past self about it. Erica says she would have told her past self she grows into an awesome woman, which, God, that's the kind of line that will charm any fucking trans woman, I swear. They stare at each other for a bit before Erica snaps them back to attention. They finish taking care of all the trash together, and Monami returns, saying Tatsuya is on his way. She then says they have to do something first, and it's related to her housewarming gift, an instant camera. Monami wants to initially take a photo of just the two of them, but Haru points out how they wouldn't have met without her, and so they should all take one together. Monami says okay, completing the trifecta by giving us another rare Monami blush as Erica tries to take the camera from her. She and Monami argue over who should take it when suddenly it goes off on them, giving us a unique text box that has all three of their names at once. And the colors all look nice next to one another. Haru does her disappointed expression as she asks if she took a photo, and Monami says they have to wait for the film to develop. While they're waiting, they decide to start taking boxes out, and Erica and Monami leave Haru alone. She talks to herself about how strange it is to be in the room with everything packed up. I always felt that way every time I moved out of one of my rooms. For the first time, somebody walks to the middle of the screen. She heads out and stops, deciding to say goodbye to the room, even if it feels a bit silly. She says she won't miss the bad memories, but treasure the good ones, and finally says goodbye as she heads off to an even brighter future with the girl she loves. We then get to see the bad image they took where both Erica and Monami had their eyes closed, probably from the flash. It's a very cute picture all the same, however. Lastly, we can check the special thanks, which includes a message from the creator saying that they hope that one day the world will be kinder and more accepting of people like Haru, Erica, Monami, and everyone and anyone who really deserves it. And I can't agree more. The game is, as the title says, the most relatable game I've ever played. Sure, most of that comes through in Haru, but I can definitely take aspects from both Erica and Monami as well. I love all three of these girls, and seeing their struggles and the way they support one another warms my heart, and in some cases, as I said, even makes me cry. Life is difficult for trans people, but games like this, games that promote hope for a better future, show that friendships can carry you through the dark times, and that love can find you even when you don't think it can. It's beautiful. I'm hoping to be able to move in with my boyfriend next year. Imagining getting to see and talk with him face to face every single day, feel safe and comfortable in his arms, come home from work to hug and kiss him and tell him about my stressful day so he can make it better. I absolutely cannot wait for that day to come. This is probably the only time in my life I've wanted the year to go by faster, and this is why even this epilogue is so relatable, because this is my future. And the future looks so, so bright with Arc in my life. This game is beautiful. It made me cry, it made me laugh, and it made me want to make a video, even though I know it'll do poorly. This game is close to my heart, and I'm glad to have talked about it. I wish there was more, but the story is beautiful enough as is, and I know all three girls have such wonderful futures ahead of them. I only hope the same applies for me, too. Thank you for watching this far. I'll make this quick this time. Please check out my second channel. Anything that goes up there has a chance to become a video on this one. It's less polished and less edited over there, but I think we make good stuff regardless. I'd like to thank my current members as of recording the audio for this video. My Life is Literally Noir, Soccer Mommy 71, Charlene Atkins 1, that's an I, 9-0, Hanamaki 4391, Heel Everheart, and my lovely boyfriend Ark. Please join and become a member if you like. Members get exclusive access to some videos and early access to others, such as this one. And once we get enough, I plan to make polls allowing them to choose what media I cover next. Plus, you get a cool badge hinting at a future video, and I'm working on adding some emojis for members to use. Please buy this game if you can and want to experience it for yourself, including all the little things I left out and the amazing lines I didn't talk about, and to support the creator. I plan to eventually check out their other work, but I'm doubtful any of it will hit the same way this game strikes my heart. Thank you to my lovely boyfriend. I know I've praised you a lot in this video, sweetie, but you deserve it. I love you so much and all you do for me so very, very much. I love you. Thank you for 1,000 subscribers. I know I haven't said it in the last few videos, but this being a big retrospective video, really wanted to say thank you for 1,000 subscribers. That's actually insane. It's insane that I'm actually making money off of this now. It's not a lot, but you know, the fact that I'm making anything at all is kind of insane. I didn't think I'd get there, but hopefully we continue to keep growing into the future because I really, really want to keep doing this, and I would love to make this a bigger deal than it already is. Um, we'll just have to keep working to get there, though, I suppose. Um, Lastly, thank you all for watching me talk so personally about myself and gushing about this game. I appreciate you all simply for watching this far. Thank you so, so much, and I hope to see you in the next one. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to see more. Love, love.